Welcome to the fascinating world of the Grand Prix de Trois Rivières, affectionately known as the Little Monaco. This is a short replay, brings the excitement of the American Le Mans Series of the weekend of 2002.
The Grand Prix of Trois Rivières this weekend, a full weekend of live coverage from the Grand Prix coming up on Speed. Tomorrow, we'll have coverage of the Toyota Atlantic Series and the Trans Am Series. But today, our focus is the American Le Mans Series. We're halfway through the 2002 season. Great to have you with us for what is a terrific event. The 33rd time, Bill Adam, that they've run this Grand Prix weekend here. It's always one of our favorite events.
It is indeed. I think this place has about as much history as Monaco, and it embodies a lot of the same idea that the passion that people here feel for motor racing, it's almost tangible. You can just about cut it.
Now, as we start to look at the American Le Mans Series, as we prepare for this afternoon's running of the Grand Prix of Trois Rivières, it's been an interesting season so far. 6 races have been run, if you count the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And if you take out the 2 long-distance runs of Sebring and the 24 Hours of Le Mans, it's been a dead-even split between 2 manufacturers.
Yeah, it really is quite remarkable. When you take out the high-speed tracks and the long-distance tracks, Le Mans and Sebring, the Audis seem to have some of their tremendous aerodynamic advantage negated, and the Panoz suddenly becomes a very competitive car. So this is a tight track. Can it happen again? Of course.
And we expect a lot of action between those 2 makes and many others here throughout the afternoon to come. And of course, the race comes up just a little bit later on. But you know, one of the interesting things about the American Le Mans Series, unlike other forms of motorsport, you have driver pairings, driver tandems. Tough for the team engineers to set up for more than one driver. We went out to talk to a couple of the key teams to find out how they deal with different drivers in their cars.
For drivers who do this type of racing the first time, it seems to be quite difficult to share a car, to make compromises in setup and things like this. But they're getting used to it during the races, and we had a few of our drivers which came from touring cars and they had their own cars. They had some difficulties at the beginning, but now they adapted to it perfectly, and we have no major problems with that.
I think this is the history of endurance race, because it would be perfect if the car would be 100% for me and 100% for Tom. But do you know, it's always, I would say, 85 and 85.
I mean, we have a lot of nationalities in the team. English engineer, German team. He's Italian, I'm Danish. So it's all sort of different languages flying around. But we have a good understanding, and he's just a great guy to work with.
So Audi has successfully matched the personalities of their drivers. Meantime, the Panoz team is still working, trying to find the right mix.
I got 4 good drivers, and they all work well together. One car is, you know, they've been driving together for 3 or 4 years, so it's real easy for them. Brian and Bill are new with us this year, so it's a little bit of a learning curve for them. So it does get difficult with them at times, but they're getting the hang of it and how we work.
Initially, Brian, I think, was stunned by it, because he's normally seatbelts are right to the one guy, seat is made to the one guy. And all of a sudden, when he found out that, hey, when he gets in, he's going to have to twist the belt down, and it's a little loose on this side, a little tight on that side, it's a compromise. And it was more of a shock to him. He was really good at adapting. He's never done it, so he was really good at adapting. And what's neat is the car sort of responds the same to both of us, what I feel he feels, and he's very good at setup on a car like this for some reason, and we just kind of let him work his way through it, and we usually have a good car by the end.
I don't like it. I mean, I'm lucky I got a good teammate, Bill Oberlin, but I'd still rather drive the whole race myself, but that's not the deal here, so it is an adjustment. You know, I'm not used to having to compromise your seating position, you know, how you want the pedals set up, how you want to feel the car, with the setup of the car, you know, so you do have to give up a lot in sports car racing to work better with your teammate. I don't know, I still prefer my wife a lot more than I do Bill Oberlin.
She's a lot better looking, eh?
She's a lot better looking. She's got a lot more redeeming qualities.
The thoughts of Brian Herta, Bill Oberlin, and others on what it's like to be part of an American Le Mans Series team. On pit road for us this weekend here in Trois Rivières, a couple of our dear friends, Calvin Fish is here, Jan Beekes covering pit road for us as well today to talk to a couple of the drivers who make up one of the key pairings in the series.
Yeah, and you talk about the driver pairings, and in fact, we heard from the Panoz team saying, no, these guys work great together. They always like the same setups. Well, that was before this weekend. Yeah, and I know that you and David didn't like the car the same way. What do you do in that circumstance?
Well, one of the drivers has to cope with what the other one wants, and since this is my weekend, perhaps we'll have to suffer.
What do you mean it's your weekend? Trading as far as qualifying?
Yeah, we share it in the way that we'll call it as my weekend because I qualified and I'll start the race. And so because of that, we agreed that it would probably be better for Brabham to adapt to my setup than me to his, since in theory I should be in the car longer than him.
Now, for you, is it optimized or is it still halfway in between what he wants?
We didn't really arrive at any setup this weekend that was optimized, but it's as optimized as we can get it.
All right, I know you're anxious to get ready. Go ahead. He wants to get in the car for their reconnaissance lap. So you don't get to drive the car the way you want it. How much of a concern is that?
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens sometimes in this type of series, you know. I mean, I enjoyed the car in a certain way and it was fast, and Jan jumped in and he said, I didn't like it. I won't say exactly what he said about the car, but, you know, we had to change more towards what he wanted because, you know, he was qualifying, he's going to start the race. And, you know, I've driven a lot of different cars with drivers with different styles, and, you know, I can adapt. It's no big deal.
All right, you've also adapted to a front-engine machine. I mean, that's why you guys have won 2 races, because you've got that down. How much different than having the engine behind you?
Well, it's a very different sensation when you're actually in the seat. You know, when you're driving through the seat of your pants, you're sitting on the rear of the car, so obviously there's a lot more movement on the rear than there is the front. So that took some time to get used to when I first drove these type of cars, but it's just so second nature to Jan and I with this car that we know exactly what we want, we know exactly what we're doing. We've got great Michelin tires, so we know exactly what tire combination to use with Michelin. So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting car.
All right, have a great day today.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, certainly it could be an interesting afternoon for the Panoz team. Neither of the team's sets of drivers are very happy with the way the car's handling here on the streets of Trois Rivières, and we'll talk more about that in just a little while. Now, coming up in the next few minutes here, the cars will be coming out on the grid to get ready for the Grand Prix of Trois Rivières American Le Mans Series event. Before that green flag happens at about 10 till 3 Eastern time here today, there'll be reconnaissance laps. The teams will get a final lap or two around the course to make sure everything's buttoned up and set for 3 hours of action coming your way in just a short time here on Speed. We're going to review now the first half of the 2002 American Le Mans Series season. We open up, of course, with the traditional opener, one of the great prizes in road racing. Let's take a look at what happened back at the 12 Hours of Sebring back in the month of March here on Speed.
The 2 Team Yost factory Audis would dominate most of the weekend at Sebring. Off the start, car number 1 would take the early lead. But a little bit later, Jonny Herbert, who joined the number 2 car for the weekend, would get the lead going down into turn 1. Herbert with Christian Pescatore would dominate much of the race, and the number 2 Audi would take the checkered flag. In the 675 prototypes, the Banana Joe's Lola of John Field with Mike Durand and Duncan Dayton, they were the clear winners. And the Corvette number 3 team would dominate in GTS. In GT, one of the Alex Joe Porsches won with Lucas Luhr and Sascha Maassen.
Speed Channel's coverage of the American Le Mans Series being brought to you today by Audi. In technology, performance, and design, our goal remains constant. Never follow. And by Cadillac. Back live at Trois Rivières, Quebec, Canada with Bill Adam. I'm Rick Benjamin, preparing for our broadcast of the American Le Mans Series, the Grand Prix of Trois Rivières. 33rd time they've run this great street event. Huge crowd on hand, and the weather couldn't be better. It'll be a wonderful day for racing. Cars are on the track now, what we call reconnaissance laps. We talked about that earlier. And Bill, that's just a chance for the drivers to check things out one last time.
Yeah, it really is, and as much as anything, they just want to go around and almost experience the track. It's rare when the driver can sit and kind of enjoy some of this atmosphere. On this lap, the driver looks around, looks at the fans, watches all the gauges. It's the most relaxed lap of the day for him.
And you remember that this is a sport, it's a game, it's fun. But the teams that really take this seriously are those here in the American Le Mans Series. And at the top of the chart, of course, the 900 LMP cars, the prototypes. Bill, these are all-out race cars.
They are the biggest, most exotic, most beautiful race cars, sports cars in the world. If you're an open-wheel car, you're going to argue with me, but for sports cars, they're the best. Extremely fast. They have well over 700 horsepower in some cases, can run incredible speeds.
And the points chase is very, very tight. Tom Kristensen the leader, but behind him, the rest of the Audi drivers.
Yeah, it's really very tight. But you notice that it is all Audi at this point. They have got such a decided advantage because of those 2 wins, Sebring and Le Mans, that can Panoz catch them? Well, yes, they can, but laws of average saying it's not likely. They would really have to have a lot of things fall in their favor for that to happen. So it almost looks like an Audi driver will be champion this year.
Now, of course, there's a privateer Audi R8. It's the champion Audi out of Florida. Their lead driver is the former Formula One driver, Jonny Herbert. He's trying to crash the party. Jan Beek talked with him earlier.
And Rick, he led the points for a while, specifically after Sears Point. And Johnny, let me ask you about Sears Point. That wasn't exactly endurance-style driving in that event.
Well, it was eventful, I think I'd call that. It was, it was difficult because obviously coming all from Indy and stuff and trying to get over. And it was great that Tom gave me a car, and then it was a spectacular finish, I would say.
Now, we were at the mid-season now. Assess your championship thus far with the first 5 races. How do you think it's gone for you?
Well, obviously with the works team at Sebring, the win there was great, so that was good from a starting point. Then obviously coming back to champion ADT, it was great to be back with the boys for a start. And we basically had a good race, to be honest, because we were really under the same conditions as the works cars, being they were in one of our spare car. And Tom obviously got it on pole when I was down in Indy, and he started the race just as I arrived. And as we saw, he led the race in the wet. And then we finished second at the end of the day. So again, it was all going very well. And really the worst point was mid-Ohio when I just got in the lead, and then that Porsche took me out, and we lost the lead really through that. So it's sort of been a bit difficult from that point, but hopefully after yesterday we can have a good race here, and that will put me back in contention.
All right, we wish you all this weekend.
Thank you.
Well, the 675 category is the other prototype class, Bill Adam. Just a hair behind the 900s in performance.
It isn't. It really is nothing more than a downscaled LMP 900 class. Slightly smaller motors and more chassis to try and encourage more participation.
And as far as the season results of the 675s, the MG Lola is by far the best combination, but there have been 3 different teams that have won.
Well, the MG Lola, I think, really shows a class of the future because the car is astonishingly fast, really remarkable, but it's fragile. At this point, they haven't got reliability. That still is to come.
Well, the dominant team in the early going has been the Banana Joe's Lola team of John and Clint Field. It's a father and son organization. John Field tops the driver standings. And earlier, Calvin Fish talked to the dad and his son about their effort this year.
Well, John Field currently leads the 675 points, and they have one of the most unique driver combinations in the series as John drives with his young son, Clint, just 19 years old. And your dad has kind of a history of being pretty exciting out there on the racetrack. Do you ever have to get on that radio and calm him down?
No, definitely. He's one of the better drivers in the series, and that's something to learn from for me. And, even though he's fast, he's safe, and he keeps the car in one piece. So, that's something to learn from for me. So.
Absolutely. John's having a great season, enjoying this category, but your young boy here must give you a lot of satisfaction as he starts his career, and be cool driving with him, John.
Yeah, it's as much satisfaction as driving. I really enjoy having him with me. He's a good shoe. He really pushes the car good, and he's safe, and it's a lot of fun to watch your son grow in the same sport you love.
Well, the Fields are hoping to climb to that top spot on the podium here this afternoon, and they struggle a little bit over on the West Coast, Rick Benjamin.
They are very strong on the West Coast and everywhere, and we'll see how the afternoon plays out for John Field and the rest of the 675 cars. Before we go to break, though, we want to recap more of the 2002 ALMS season. Let's show you what happened in the second round of this year's championship back in May at Sears Point. A rainy morning set the pace at Sears Point in Northern California. Early on, the Jan Magnussen David Brabham 50 car would grab the lead. Emmanuele Pirro ruined Audi's chances by stuffing the one car into a tire barrier. That opened the door for Magnussen and Brabham to dominate much of the day, but at the end, Johnny Herbert nearly stole the victory for Audi. The Panoz, though, did grab its first win of the season. In the 675 category, it was the Archangel machine of Ben Devlin and Dave McEntee. The Corvette of Ron Fellows and Johnny O'Connell won again in GTS. And the GT victory went to the Alex Job 23 car of Luhr and Maassen. Back live at Trois Rivières, Quebec, Canada, here on Speed. Beautiful day for racing. The Grand Prix of Trois Rivières all weekend. Live coverage right here on Speed. Tomorrow, the Toyota Atlantics and the Trans Am Tour from Trois Rivières. Today, it's the American Le Mans Series. Third round of the 2002 season. One of the most entertaining races we've seen in a long time. It was a pitched battle at Mid-Ohio. Let's show you how it went down. The Audis planned on using their visit to Mid-Ohio to gain some redemption after their failure at Sears Point. Johnny Herbert's day ended early, though. Contact with one of the Porsches with the 38 car into the gravel trap.
Tom Kristensen tried to win it on fuel mileage, but ran out of gas on the final lap. That opened the door for Emmanuele Pirro to take car number 1 to victory lane for Audi. In the 675 prototypes, Jeff Bucknam's Team Bucknam 56 car was the winner. In GTS again, it was the factory Corvettes, this time the 3 of O'Connell and Fellows. And in GT, the victory went to Kevin Buckler's Racers Group Porsche.
Well, the GTS car is a big part of the show, Bill. Adam, they're big boomers, aren't they?
Well, these are the closest to production cars. They basically start life as a production car, but then the heavy modifications take place, and actually at this point in their life, they are full-fledged race cars.
Corvette, Viper, and occasionally a Saleen in the mix. But as we take a look at the driver points, the 4 factory Corvette drivers have been dominant.
Yeah, I think the Corvette team has done a remarkable job. It was a few years ago when they couldn't seem to find reliability. Now they can't find anything to break them. They are the top class.
And as you will hear in just a moment, the Corvettes plan on being around for quite some time. An unheard of thing in motorsports to have a perfect season. That's what the Corvette team is aiming for this year.
So we're halfway through the 2002 American Le Mans Series season, and Team Corvette is 5 for 5, still undefeated in GTS competition. The 3-car, driven primarily by Canadian Ron Fellows and Johnny O'Connell out of Georgia, has won 4 of 5 starts, while their teammates Kelly Collins and Andy Pilgrim tasted victory at Road America in the number 4 Corvette. Now, their immediate goal is to complete a perfect season and lock up a class championship. But team manager Doug Fian tells us it's been a total team effort so far.
I think it's essentially just dedication of the crew and a lot of hard work. And you hear that used as a reason time in and time out. But the reality of it is that's what it takes to succeed. The ability to put a program together, to have it be a comprehensive program, and to have it be a continuing program is what really helps you. Quite frankly, we want to go ahead and continue to develop the car because we know in 2003 and 2004 there's going to be some additional significant competition coming forward, and now's the time you have to start to prepare for that. So not only do we focus on the race itself, but we also focus on the future.
We mentioned Saleen, of course, and Viper. The Ferrari is also part of the GTS picture, but it has been a dominant season for Corvette, right, Jan Beekes?
Sure has, and in fact, this is the view, the back of the Corvette that pretty much everyone else in the competition has seen. And of course, Ron Fellows, you've won here a couple times in other series, so does that give you a leg up today?
I hope so. We're going to find out. It sure can't hurt. This is it's a tricky place, but I think the experience that everybody had at Washington, D.C., that great race, that it certainly applies to Trois Rivières. So the local knowledge was probably good for about the first 5 laps, and that's it.
Now, great timing. Johnny O'Connell shows up right on cue here. We've been talking today about driver pairings, about compromise on setup. Do you guys like the same setup on the car?
Yeah, pretty much. You know, from the get-go, you know, I joined the team last year. First race was Daytona. We won that. And, you know, we've both come to understand what each other likes in the car. And I think, you know, when we're out there, we're always thinking about the other. And I think that's one reason we've had good fortune is that, you know, when I'm in the car, I'm certainly looking after it so that when Ron gets in, he's got a good car. And he certainly does the same. And, you know, the guys at Pratt & Miller do an excellent job. And Gary Pratt's behind the camera right now making faces. So everybody but Gary Pratt does an excellent job. But, you know, we got a super team here. Goodyear gives us a super tire. K-Tech gives us great engines. And, you know, we're all a family. So, you know, it's nice that the 3-car does well, but it's great that the 4-car does well. And I think we'll see another good fight today.
Well, you can see it's definitely a team sport. Calvin?
Well, Jan, when you think of Ferrari, you think of pretty girls and Gabriella Raffinelli. This Ferrari F50, 550, should I say. Even the girls are getting me off track here a little bit here. Tell me about it. You made a lot of progress. I'm sure you'd love to end that Corvette win streak here in Trois Rivières. Tell us about the progress with the Ferrari thus far this season.
Well, I must say we are progressing very steadily. At the moment, we get to a point where we need to get some more power out of the car, and I think we'll be there.
How about the tires? I mean, everything on this car is Italian engine, 12-cylinder, Italian car. How about the Michelin tires? How do they compete with the Goodyears here?
Well, the Michelino tires are very good. No, we are doing okay. It's not a problem. Michelin is working with us. There will be some new rubber for us in Motorsport. We are very confident. We tried a new splitter this morning in warm-up. It was not so successful. We're back to the old one. But everybody's working. We have a good bunch of people, thanks to Olive Garden and Coca-Cola supporting us. You will see us soon in front. They know we are coming. They know we are coming. So
well, certainly this Ferrari sounds great. Had a few engine problems, though, in qualifying, guys, so that's a concern going into the race today.
Now we certainly hope they have a better run here today at Trois Rivières. Closing in on the green flag of the Grand Prix of Trois Rivières. Let's continue our review of the 2002 season thus far. Let's show you what happened on a very hot summer day at Road America.
An extremely hot weekend at the longest road course in North America. There would be trouble early for the factory Panoz team. The car of Jan Magnussen and David Brabham broke early, and Stefan Johansson went off in the champion Audi. That opened the door for the factory cars. Capello, though, in the 2-car had to take a stop-and-go penalty for jumping a restart. But it wasn't enough to cause Capello and Kristensen to lose an opportunity to take the deuce to victory lane. The 675 prototype category went to the Archangel team once again. Ben Devlin, Peter McLeod, and Larry Alberto sharing the car. In GTS, the win went to the number 4 Corvette of Kelly Collins and Eddie Gilbert. The TT honors to the Alex Joe Porsche 22 of Bergmeister and Bernard.
Ready to go here at Trois Rivières, Quebec, Canada on speed. Less than 30 minutes until the start of the Grand Prix of Trois Rivières. With Bill Adam, I'm Rick Benjamin. Great to have you with us today. You can see the pageantry here, the huge crowd gathering, and Bill, it ought to be a great event this afternoon. 3 hours of action through the streets of Trois Rivières. There's one class we haven't talked about yet. That would be the GT category. Very nimble race cars.
Well, the GT is the smaller version of the GTS. They too are based on production cars, but again, heavily modified. Particularly great here on a track like this that's so short is they're intensely competitive with the GTS cars. You could see an upset.
Now, if we take a look at the point situation, there are 4 factory drivers, and they drive for Alex Joe, but there's one guy from California trying to crash that part.
Kevin Buckler has had the dream season. Of course, he won Le Mans, which I think is any sports car driver's goal. That alone made a season worthwhile, but he hasn't stopped there. He has remained competitive every place.
Well, that driver and team owner is standing by with Jan Beekes.
Yes, and of course, you see Racers Group across the car. He not only drives the car, but he owns the Racers Group. You'd have to say it's been a dream season for Kevin Buckler. The highlight's got to be Le Mans.
Le Mans was the highlight. I'll tell you what, none of us can believe it. We really haven't had a chance to slow down because we've been on the road ever since, just racing. We're really proud to be here and happy to be here and try to put in a good race here like we did in Washington.
Now, you're factory, but not quite at the level of Alex Job. I mean, do you have all the same stuff they do?
I don't know. We're not really sure. We're just doing our very best.
Well, you've been doing a great job. Have a great run today.
Thanks a lot, Jan. Thank you.
Well, one of the real success stories in American Le Mans this year is also in GT. It's the team that Kevin Buckler's group has been chasing all year, the Alex Job Group. They built a championship team that's a family effort.
Well, I actually spent 20 years in the retail automobile business, and I left that in 1990 and decided to go racing full-time. During that time period, I did it as a hobby. And so 1990, Holly and I decided to do this full-time, and it was very difficult getting going. But by 95, it started going pretty well. And, you know, we're pretty well oiled now, but we're still a small team. My wife, Holly, runs the office. You know, I basically run the business. I've only got 6 full-time guys in the shop. But when people see me here at the racetrack with an army of people, 23, 25 people, almost all of those are contract help that work for me at the racetrack. So we look like a very big team, but in essence, we're still a small team at home. I want to win the championships this year. We've won driver championships and manufacturer championships before. We haven't won the team championship. I want to win that this year as well. Like to have a clean sweep. We're off to a good start. And I definitely want to keep growing. You know, we're in the GT class, which is the bottom class, and we've been here for years and years, and I would like to step up. Hopefully there's a GTS car in my future, and beyond that, hopefully there's a prototype in my future. But, you know, we are an American team, and we've been in this series for many, many years, and we definitely want to keep climbing the ladder.
Right. Thank you. Well, the 2 drivers who want to help Alex achieve those goals this year are Sascha, Maassen, and Lucas Luhr. Sascha, you trust Lucas with the race car, but I understand a rental car is a totally different deal.
Oh, yes, of course. If Lucas would have had as many flat spots as in the race car as he has in the hire car, I would not like him to drive with me, for sure not.
And Lucas, we're having a lot of fun here in Trois Rivières. Big race this afternoon, but tonight I'm sure there's going to be some partying, whatever happens with the result today. When you get to the bars and the girls, 2 single European guys, who has the most success there?
Well, I have done so far more sprint races, so Sascha is more the experienced guy, and for the sprints I'm better, for the most longer races Sascha is better, so we are kind of equal.
Okay, well that's exactly what the girls said, guys.
They're competitive on and off the racetrack, to be sure. Now, what we've seen so far in this American Le Mans Series season is that the shorter, tighter the track, the better the show. That's what we expect here at Trois Rivières in just a few moments. This is a 1.5 mile racetrack. 2 weeks ago on a 1.7 mile circuit in Washington, D.C., a brand new facility. It was the best racing of the year. Let's show you how the D.C. race went. The tightest battle of the season at the brand new Washington, D.C. parking lot circuit. The 2 of Capello and the 38 car would make contact early. The 38 spins. Their chances for victory are gone. Car number 1, the Audi battling here with the 50, the Panoz of Brabham and Magnussen. A great battle all day. After stopping for tires, the 50 car would take the lead back from Kristensen in a corner. And the 50 of Magnussen and Brabham would move to victory for the second time this season in Washington. In the 675s, it was John and Clint Field in the Intersport car. The GTS winner again, the Corvette, this time honors to the 3 car. GT honors to the number 23 Alex Joe Porsche of Luhr and Maassen. The first half of IMSA's American Le Mans Series season has left many unanswered questions, like can the Audis retake control after a couple of losses to the mighty Panoz team? In GTS, can the Corvettes continue to win, or will the Saleen or the Ferrari find their legs? Who will be the last man standing in the 675 prototypes? And in the GT category, can Kevin Buckler's rags to riches season continue, or will Porsche's favorite sons carry the day again for the Alex Job squad? The search for answers begins today in Trois Rivières, Quebec. And we're back live in Trois Rivières, Quebec, Canada. Coverage of the American Le Mans Series here on Speed. Today, the Grand Prix of Trois Rivières, just moments away from the start. It's been an interesting morning here, Bill Adam. A couple of the key teams. First, Jan Magnussen had problems today.
Yeah, the thing you never want to happen in the warm-up, Jan Magnussen had a car go to the barrier directly in front of him, and he couldn't avoid it. He nosed his car in lightly, didn't do much damage, but it was a scary moment.
And yesterday, Tom Kristensen couldn't get a quick lap in.
Well, we see everybody wait in the pit lane till the last possible instance. This was a situation where he was caught out. He should have been out there turning laps.
So Kristensen got a very slow lap. He'll start 10th row here today. Right, Calvin Fish?
Track, how do you tackle it?
You said it all. I mean, I'm very hyper motivated because of what actually happened in qualifying yesterday. So I just have to control myself, but motivated very much.
Patience and aggression is the key this afternoon, and you have a bit of an advantage over the Panoz guys because you can go a little bit longer in fuel. That may help you out.
Yes, that can be the key point, and obviously it's very bumpy, and it seems the Audi goes well on the bumps. Compared to Washington, but offline there's no grip and you have to go offline to pass. So there's a lot of things into it.
All right, Tom, good luck this afternoon. Drivers stand in line right now. Meanwhile, we're going to get set for the national anthem here this afternoon.
Suède.
Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez rester debout pour l'interprétation des hymnes nationaux du Canada et des États-Unis tels qu'interprétés par M. Mario Martin. Would you please remain standing for the national anthems of Canada and the United States of America?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held and the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight All the rampers we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets ran there, bombs were bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Ô Canada, terre de nos aïeux, ton front est ceint de fleurs en glorieux, car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Mario Martin et les hymnes nationaux du Canada et des États-Unis.
Okay, well, we're down here on the grid. Caught me a bit unawares there. We're going to try and get a quick word here with Marino Franchitti. And Marino, your brother Dario had a great result at Vancouver last week, winning his first Champ Car race this year. You're here for the second time in the American Viper racing team with a Viper. It's a hot car, hot racetrack. How are you going to fare this afternoon?
Well, as long as my feet don't get burnt like they did in Washington, I'll be a happy man. It's going to be tough out there, but we think we've got a bit more ventilation in the car, so I hope it gets better.
Okay, mate, well, good luck this afternoon. We're going to go for a bit of a walk here. See the Raffinelli, Olive Garden Ferrari there. Great run this weekend by the Bucknam Racing 675 cars. You see that? This category is really coming along strong. And then another team that's hoping to challenge those Corvettes this year that haven't won this year is the Saleen car. They've had a bit of a handicap. They haven't got the production cars totally in operation yet, but still a very strong race car. And Terry Borcheller is the lead driver here with Franz Conrad. And Terry, hot afternoon's work in store for you, mate, but you've won here before in GTO. Can you do it again today?
I hope so. You know, we've got a little bit different battle going with the restrictions still, but a lot of fans come out to see a race, and I think we'll give them a race.
When you now race against the Corvette, you got a little bit of a handicap with the restrictor on the engine and weight and so on and so forth. Where do you really struggle to compete with that car on a racetrack such as this?
It's mainly just coming off the corner and down the straights. We do pretty well still under braking, obviously, because the S7's a great car, and the transitions left to right through the corners, the car's still really good. So mainly it's just the power down the straightaway.
All right, mate, we'll go get in this afternoon. Let's head down to the front side of the grid and see if Jan Beekes has any stories down there.
Yeah, and Calvin, this is a great time just to take a look at these cars as Johnny Herbert climbs in this champion Audi. This is a 3.6-liter turbo, just some great disparity of equipment. As we walk down the line, of course, we have the Panoz. That is a 6-liter V8, and you can see by the air horns in the front that, of course, the engine sits in front of the driver. Bill Oberlin just kicking back, enjoying, giving, obviously, best wishes to Bryan Herta. Come down a little bit more. This is still a 6-liter, but you'll notice that this is behind James Weaver. James Weaver will start the car. And James, if I can get in and get a quick word with you. Chris, James is listed, but Chris is in the car. Hi, Chris. Tell me about James. Obviously, has won a couple races here. This is somewhat new for you. Your thoughts about this car, maybe old technology, but a lot of fun to drive here.
Well, we still think it's a pretty reasonable car to have around here. It's a slow circuit, and this car's always been good on street circuits. And we were able to take care of some of the engine problems that held us up a little bit in Washington, and we hope we have a good run in it today.
All right, have some fun.
Thanks.
Alan?
Kyle, 675 category, one of the leading teams here is Archangel Racing and Mike Johnson. Got a big engine program going on this year, but you seem to be making some progress, and Ben Devlin doing a great job behind the wheel.
Oh, yeah, we've had 4 races and 2 wins, a second and a third. We've scored more points than anybody in the last 4. We were quickest in practice yesterday. Then we had a big crash in qualifying. Team stayed up the entire night. We're up 30 hours now. But I think we got a good car. We got 2 great drivers, Marc-Antoine Camirand, Ben Devlin. I think we got a good shot today.
Tell us about Marc-Antoine. He has a lot of local knowledge here, and he's coming off a very successful test with Panoz last weekend.
Yeah, he's done, I think, 6 races in a row, and I think he's won just about every time he's been here. And on his second lap, he was really flying. And we really thought he could get the pole, but we had a failure in the suspension and pretty much destroyed the car, put 2 holes in the tub, and the team fixed it. But, I think he banged his leg up pretty bad yesterday, and we're hoping that that he'll be okay. But I think we're in good shape.
I think the 675 class this afternoon should be a very exciting battle. We've got a lot of great cars, certainly a couple of MGs in the field. They're going to be the pace of the field, but they haven't always had the reliability, and it's going to be interesting to see how things pace out here. You got a lot of different classes working together, pretty jumbled grid here. You got Brabham and Magnussen starting back on 7th, Kristensen at the back. Should be an exciting one, and we're about to get the word that we're going to be starting the engines here live in Trois Rivières. This is going to be a fabulous race this afternoon.
Le médaillé des Jeux d'hiver de Salt Lake City, Nagano et Lillehammer, Monsieur Marc Gagnon. For the starting ceremony, please welcome the president of Le Grand Prix de Trois Rivières, Mr. Léon Méthode, and Winter Olympic Games champion, Mr. Marc Gagnon.
Driver, start your engine.
So the engine's coming to life here at Trois Rivières, Quebec, Canada. We are live on Speed Channel, getting ready for the Grand Prix of Trois Rivières. We'll be back right after this. Back live at Trois Rivières, Quebec, Canada. Rick Benjamin along with you. Bill Adam and Derek Bell has joined us here for our coverage of the American Le Mans Series. Gentlemen, the field rolling away under the arc. This ought to be one of the most exciting places that we'll see action here today. First, though, let's show you the pole sitters in each of the 4 categories. On the overall pole in the Audi R8, Biela and Emmanuele Pirro.
No surprise, they are both very experienced drivers on street tracks, and this car, typical of Yost, perfect preparation.
The 675 pole sitter, the Nighthawk car, Steve Knight, Chad Block.
Yeah, these cars really are looking so good as the season progresses. More and more, they're showing the future of racing.
And again, a dominant performance so far by the Corvette.
Well, Ron Fellows hasn't missed a pole this year. The guy is just simply unbeatable. And now coming back to Canada, that's even more incentive for him.
And at GT, it's a really, really tight battle among the factory cars and the buckler cars.
Sascha, Maassen, Lucas, Luhr doing another job for the McKenna Porsche. They, too, have been on the pole so many times this year. It's a very well-oiled team.
As the field gets ready to go, we're getting the signal just a lap or so until the green comes down. Now at the top, in our speed strip, you will see our full starting lineup. 26 cars set to go here today. Jonny Herbert has the outside pole in the champion Audi. Bryan Herta in the first of the Panoz machines. But then it's Chris Dyson, he and James Weaver, and the agent Riley and Scott with the Ford motor. And there's the Nighthawk car in 5th spot. And Bill, we talked about this, and Derek, on these tight racetracks, the cars will be very closely packed.
Beware of course, is the cameras when you're doing that movie.
And as we see here, it'll be about 100 yards per car, Bill. That doesn't give you much to work with.
No, it really doesn't. And of course, there's going to be areas where you're going to have 2 yards per car, and some occasionally you're going to get a couple hundred between the car. But it is kind of endless work around a track like this.
And we've got 4 different onboard looks for you today in our 26-car field, and you'll get some great looks, I'm sure, at this just mile and a half 10-turn layout, as we will take a look from the cars, including car number 1. First, though, we'll start off in one of the Alex Joe Porsches. Jorg Bergmeister will start the 22.
One of the young German hot shoes. They have a great battle with their own teammates, and now we're on board the Olive Garden Ferrari. Emmanuele Pirro starting the car today.
Of course, the Panoz will carry, and we'll have helmet cameras in the 50 car with Jan Magnussen.
Yeah, I love it. This view is going to be particularly effective to show you just how rough and demanding the track is. And finally, we're on board with Emmanuele Pirro on the Yost Audi.
And you see the pace car, the Cadillac CTS leading the field around. Here at Trois Rivières, again, 1.5 miles, 10 turns. Pirro on the gas. We should be heading to a green flag this time by, it appears. Lights are out, field coming off the final corner. Very slow.
Yeah, they have to come up here and do one more bend to the left, a little, bend to the right, a little quick flick to the left, and then they're on the actual front straight.
And that little kick back to get on the front straight, very quick.
Yeah, boy, here comes the drag race to start the race.
Turn one, of course, a hard right-hander. Very dicey indeed. Brings in the air, and here we go.
And look at the Panoz up the inside. Already took second place away from Herbert's hit.
Yeah, contact. Herbert and the 51 car getting the 11 car, the Nighthawk machine, actually, with Chad Block, and one of the American Viper Racing cars, the 44 spins. He'll get refired, but Herbert with problems.
Yeah, not necessarily out of the race. How many times have we seen the Audi really take a bad shot and get right back into the race? The car is just so strong.
It is strong, but of course it did damage the back panel. It looks like the back bodywork, you know. And when will these guys like this learn that the race isn't won on the first corner, you know? It's not a 10-lapper.
Now, this is just terrible right now. You can see the Panozes have benefited tremendously by that skirmish, and they are up to second and third place. Now, something about the Panoz, they have taken a bit of a gamble that even though they qualified relatively well, in warm-up, neither team was happy with the car. Yeah. They were really quite disturbed about it all. They couldn't seem to figure out the problem.
Well, they were actually saying that, in fact, the cars were so wonderful in Washington, and around here they've transformed into things. Every time they go out, something goes wrong. They have a problem.
And I just saw a yellow flag out. Yeah, there he is. Manuele's putting his arm up. There's going to be a pace car already to try and clean out the car that caused the problem off the track.
Now, this is the first time the American Le Mans Series has been the headline show. First time we've been with the ALMS here to Trois Rivières. Bill, you and I have been here many times. Derek telling us this is the first time he's come here to run in the Speed World Challenge. First time he's seen the racetrack. So you'll see a lot of action here today. But this entrance to one, very, very dicey. Here's the initial green. We'll show you what happened as they came to the corner.
Now, keep your eye on the champion car. Look at the car trying to go up the inside. Not a prayer of making that corner. He way too fast.
Far too fast. What you have to remember, of course, the Nighthawk car is much lighter and probably could get through the corner remarkably quickly, Bill. But of course, he just didn't judge what was happening in front of him. You've got to use your brains more.
Another look from outside the corner. Steve Knight driving the 11 car there. At first, I thought it was one of the Panozes that was coming up the inside, but it was the Nighthawk 675 machine that made the contact with Johnny Herbert. So the 38 car, the champion Audi, in trouble in turn one. We'll see if they can get back in the hunt. The Nighthawk machine also with problems. Magnussen has come from 7th to 3rd in that scramble. We'll be back. Welcome back to Trois Rivières, Quebec, Canada. The Grand Prix of Trois Rivières, 6th round of the 2002 American Le Mans Series season here on Speed. Great to have you with us. A weekend full of pageantry and excitement. Just north of Montreal, about 70 miles or so. This is one of the great events in road racing in North America. The American Le Mans Series here for the first time ever under caution because of an incident on lap 1 going to turn 1. Johnny Herbert and the 38 car made contact with the Nighthawk 675 car, the number 11 machine. That car going up on the rollback. So it looks as though Steve Knight and Chad Block, their race apparently will be over after just about 150 yards down into turn 1 today. A couple of other cars had to scramble to get out of the way. Bill Adam now will take us for a loop around this 1.5 mile layout. One of the most challenging racetracks anywhere in North America, this street circuit.
Trois Rivières is 1.52 miles and 10 turns of non-stop action. On board the Panoz inside Jan Magnussen's helmet, watch two things. Watch the bumps of the track and watch how narrow this circuit is. Up ahead, a quick left going down through turn 2. But the important thing, look way up ahead as we exit here. That is the Duplessis Arc, and look how narrow. A very dangerous spot, easy to tag a wall on either side, leads us onto the back straight. Now it's a straight in name alone because watch as it keeps bending to the left. Around, around, around. Set up for a pass on the inside of this Porsche, heavy braking, and another fairly slow speed left leading onto another straight. Accelerate hard out of this corner, be careful not to touch the wall. Up ahead, a quick right-hand fleck, and just after this one, a little bit of gentle braking, drop down a gear, and then slide through here, feet on power, all the way up over the curve, and set up ahead, a heavy braking area into the hairpin. This goes around all the way to the left. A very short straight here leads up to a right-hand fleck, in here tight to the wall, back to the left very quickly, and that completes the lap at Three Rivers. There's hardly time to breathe.
Back at Trois Rivières, field getting their tires cleaned, hoping for a restart this time, but a lot of action on pit road. First to Jan Beekes.
The 38 car did make it onto pit road. They thought they were going to have to change the under tray as well as the rear deck lid. It turned out they only had to change the rear deck lid, did it in less than 40 seconds, and topped up the fuel while they were here. So pretty routine, and he didn't lose a lap.
Pretty impressive, as Herbert will catch the back of the field now. And here, with 26 cars, Bill, it shouldn't take him long to make his way through.
No, and I think that's a smart move. Technically, he really did the right thing by topping up. He's already back fairly far in the field anyway, so why not take full advantage, take on that full fuel load, and now he also knows that the car is okay. That gives him confidence to drive hard.
Also on pit road for us, Calvin Fish. And we'll hear from Calvin.
Quick update on the tire situation, Rick, is the fact that Panoz team believes that the Audi team may have gone too soft on the Michelin tires. What they've got is a very soft front, medium compound rear. Now, that will work well in a slightly lower ambient temperature than we're seeing here today, so it's very hot here. In fact, Tom Kristensen almost debated about going to a different compound for the race and starting from the very back of the grid, unlike his 20th grid position. But right now, with that caution period that we've seen, great opening lap for Tom Kristensen, up to 10th and up with the pack again, very importantly, got good track position. He's ready to go to the front. It's going to be a great battle there in the prototypes division this afternoon.
No restart this time by. There'll be another lap at least under caution here as they clean up the trash down in turn one from that contact. 4 cars involved in that skirmish going into that hard 90-degree right-hander. And Bill, with the barriers here, the arch here, it's only a mile and a half, shortest circuit these teams will run on all year. We should see a lot of that sort of thing.
I wouldn't be at all surprised. And I think maybe that's one of the things that is in favor of the Audi is that the fact that the car is so strong. Boy, remember, look at Sears Point. Who was it? Pirro put the car off, the champion car they had rented, and 4 minutes later, it's back on the track with a brand new rear end.
It's absolutely astounding, the beating it takes. They've done. It's almost like they've tested the car to destruction to find out. I mean, you know, when the tires were coming off at Le Mans, it was like, well, how much bodywork damage can it take? And they still came in and just changed the tires and not the bodywork and carried on.
Actually, I think it was Biella, not Pirro. I shouldn't say.
Well, anyway, it's one of the Audi drivers.
Yeah, but amazing the strength of the car. That rear end that took that hard hit on turn one. The carbon fiber pieces back there, the under tray and the body are so thick, and I think that helps tremendously with the endurance of the car.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I believe in all the testing they do, they test everything, try running it on one flat tire just to see what damage they can do to make it strong enough to withstand it. I mean, they have been tested to destruction. Look at the results they've had since.
Yeah.
4 laps on the board. This will be lap 5, looking for a restart. Coming toward pit road exit under the Grand Prix of Trois Rivières Bridge. And the green flag is back in the air.
Yeah, and a car back in 3rd place. I think that's Jan Magnussen. He looks awfully impatient right now to try and get by his own teammate.
Bryan Herta starting in the 51 car for the Panoz team. Magnussen from 10th on the grid, looking inside. No.
Oh, not a good place to do it at all.
I couldn't believe he even got sideways there.
Want to give a call to the driver who sits 4th, young Andy Lally from Northport, Long Island, New York. That's the other Banana Joe's car. That's the older Lola with the V10 Judd in the back end, and Lally's come to 4th.
Yeah, I was talking to them just before the race. They were just saying, we're just going to go out there. It's going to be tough for us out there, but we're just going to try for a result. They're doing a good job right now.
This track, too, again, shows up the real strength of the Audi and the weakness of the Panoz, and that's their reactions to the bumps. We're watching the Audi go over, and it just looks so glassy smooth, and the Panoz don't seem to chatter like a go-kart.
Panoz is nose to tail, fighting for second. Pirro in car number 1, one of the 2 Yost team Audis. He's got a lead of about 12 car lengths here. And we'll show you the gap back to some of the other contenders in the field. Here's Lally in the Banana Joe's 30. And take a look at Kristensen in the other factory Audi, just knifing through traffic.
And wisely, other cars getting out of his way.
Yeah, but if you see that silver and yellow thing, you know it's Kristensen and he's on a mission. And he's carved his way through, just say, from 20th up to about 7th place. He's really doing a sterling job, but he's going to be very cautious. It's still a long race, and that's why one gets so upset at the sort of incident that happened on the first corner of the first lap.
I agree.
This is rookie Chris Dyson in the Dyson Riley and Scott, the blue and white 16 car. Kristensen to the inside. Dyson lets him go. The Riley and Scott no match for the Audi in terms of straight line speed, even here.
Although it was impressive in qualifying, James Weaver just did a wonderful performance. He was throwing the car around, both coming into corners and power sliding coming out. Great fun to watch, and the French-Canadian fans respond so well to that. But they're clapping and cheering and standing.
I was talking to James just before, and he said, man, he said, we've got to hope. He said, we're really a 6th place car. We might inherit 4th. But he said the fans came to be entertained, and that's what I'm here for.
I like
and he's
that.
enjoying that. He said he was saying just now, he came out of this turn onto the pit straight, absolutely broadside. He thought, I've got it under control, and it whipped back the other way. He said, I had so close to having a wreck. You know, he's having a blast out there, teaching young Chris as well.
He's a great driver. Boy, he is talent.
Kristensen in the 2 car up to 5th. Remember, they started 20th. Got 2 laps in during yesterday's qualifying session because of the accident involving the Ben Devlin Mark Camirand 675 car, the number 13. Now, you heard from Mike Johnson on the grid before the start. They stayed up all night fixing 2 holes in the tub of that car. They made the start, but they pitted on lap 1. We'll try to get an update. Here's Kristensen making the move inside Lally to take over 5th position. 4th position make it from Andy Lally. Let's take a look at the battle in GTS that's taking shape. Terry Borcheller had the Saleen in the lead on the restart. You're on board in the Ferrari, the Olive Garden Zero car right now. They sit back in 12th overall at GTS. They are 4th in the category right now.
Boy, Derek, don't you love that sound?
I just love it. I can't get away from the emotion of Ferrari. There's something about that sound. Oh, listen to it. Just listen.
Andy Pilgrim in the Corvette, the number 4, has just gotten by.
Wouldn't you love that in the street? It'd be worth the tickets.
Yeah.
Great car.
As the Raffinelli team machine blows by, we heard in the pre-race from Calvin Fishout, they are not happy at all with the engine combination. That's a motor build that they've run 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, they haven't, and unfortunately they lost their almost brand new motor, a motor that had only like 100 kilometers of running on it in one of the practice sessions. So this particular engine is actually an engine with a whole lot of hours on it, and they're not particularly worried about it. They say, yeah, it's fine, it's reliable, but it just may be down on horsepower a little bit.
So Nispetti giving up the spot to Andy Pilgrim in the GTS category battle. Ron Fellows leads at his 7th overall. This car sitting back at 14th at Trois Rivières. Back live at Trois Rivières, Quebec, Canada, here on Speed with Derek Bell and Bill Adam. I'm Rick Benjamin on board with the leader, Emmanuele Pirro, in the Audi car number 1. Now, this is the first of 3 live broadcasts we have for you this weekend here on Speed. Tomorrow, the SCCA's Trans Am Tour moves into Trois Rivières, 2:30 Eastern Time for our live coverage right here on Speed Channel. Paul Gentilozzi, Johnny Miller, Boris Said, and all the guys will have it for you live here tomorrow. Top of the screen, Speed Strip. Full running order of all 26 cars. We run 15 minutes of this 3-hour battle, and look at Pirro working lap traffic here already.
He's being very cautious. You saw that time at the end of the straight, Derek. He didn't know whether to take a shot inside that Porsche. I think he was wise to resist
Very,
it.
very wise. Plus, don't forget, he's not got somebody right on his tail right now, and you can afford to make it up somewhere else, can't you, Bill? I mean, you've done there enough times yourself.
Now here's the battle for second, which isn't much of a battle anymore. The 2 Panozes were nose to tail. Jan Magnussen up from 7th starting spot of the 50, just blasted his way by Bryan Herta to take over second and give chase to Pirro. And let's show you how he made the move. It was very tight racing going into the final couple of corners just a lap ago.
Yeah, I think this might be proof that there aren't necessarily team orders under play here, because look how deep he goes, and actually you see Bryan Herta lock up his brakes, trying to get in and avoid being passed. Magnussen just smokes on by. And then nice little power slide.
Beautiful, but I think you must remember this is a team deal, and you want to see if there's a fast guy catching you up in your team trying to catch the lead. You let him go. You don't hold him up. You know, Braham was a little bit strong there, I think.
Well, just an update on that situation, guys. I spoke to the Panoz team manager this morning about this situation. They expected Magnussen to be a little bit quicker in race trim than Bryan, and they said if he comes up, we're going to tell Bryan not to hold him up. I'm not sure that message got out there the way those guys were duking it out there for a couple of laps. But another concern for the Panoz team this afternoon is fuel mileage. They're really stretching things to try and make this race on 2 stops if we see a lot of green flag running, particularly with Magnussen behind the wheel. He gets worse mileage than Brab's, about 1/10 of a litre per lap. That's a lot along a whole stint here. So they're really trying to work hard with Magnussen, trying to get better fuel mileage. Brabham, we expect to go in and do a double stint to finish this race, and he should be able to get an hour, which you need to get through on 2 stops here.
Boy, that is so tough to do, to tell our driver to get better mileage. In other words, back off the gas a little bit.
But don't you remember, Group C was like that not so many years ago, and we all had to cruise around trying to save gas. Yeah, that was the most awful form of racing run by the FIA, nonetheless.
That's true.
Watching the car that's in second spot right now, Jan Magnussen, off that great victory in Washington, D.C. a couple of weeks ago, in a circuit that's the same general idea as what we have here at Trois Rivières, just a little longer. Of course, that was laid out in a parking lot. Beautiful, brand new paving. This is a street course that's been in use for 33 years. This is the 33rd renewal of the Grand Prix of Trois Rivières, and on the shores, really, of the St. Lawrence River.
Yeah, I think the Washington course really turned out to be so effective because they stuck with their guns and made the entire track 45 feet wide. And the smooth pavement certainly helped everyone. It helped equalize the cars for one thing. It took away the huge Audi advantage of being so effective over the bumps.
Watching the 50 car work through the GT leaders here. Coming up on the Alex Job cars, Lucas Luhr in the 23 is on top in GT right now, and his teammate Jorg Bergmeister in the 22 running second. As Magnussen sifts through those two cars, the gap between the two Job cars, not very much at the moment, about 15 car lengths or so. I love this helmet cam view, guys.
Me too. Brilliant, yeah. I think while we're looking at it, we must remark that Johnny Herbert, who was last, is now in 5th place.
And running the fastest laps on the track. So
wow.
He's got the bit between his team. Look at the type of bumps that he's going through right here. The sound.
Look at the opposite lock going on. And then you've got this very tight right-hander right around that very sharp corner. You don't want to get the rumble strips too much because they're very harsh on the top side.
Boy, you see how much he has to fight the wheel. Yeah, there's a lot of left-right motion. He's constantly just balancing.
As he turns in here, Bill, there's that big dip as you turn in, and that just set him away from the apex there. He didn't quite get the apex he wanted.
Magnussen into turn 2. Downhill toward the arch.
Yeah, that thing looks so narrow. You're threading the needle down through here. A lot of turn. Actually, you see the car is pushing quite a bit coming through there, and then you're getting a snap to a power oversteer. You see the opposite lock as he gets onto the straight. Part of that, too, is these roads are so severely crowned. These are city streets, and they really have a lot of crown in them. Like a high center is what I mean by a crown.
Now, here's the car Magnussen belted yesterday during practice, the 19.
He didn't miss it, did he? He missed it this time. No, but I think you've got to remember that, as you say, crown, we call them cambered in England, and aren't we in an English-speaking country?
Yes. Just with a slight accent.
Severe camber, and it really does affect the cars with those bumps as well, and so sometimes you're running offline to try and go by something, and it's really rough out there, and it really pits you over.
In GTS, the lead belongs to the car that's been dominant all season. Ron Fellows really on one of his 2 home tracks. This place in Mosport, where we'll be in 2 weeks with that 3 car. Ron certainly loves it here, and the fans love him.
They do. I mean, they have adopted Ron. He might as well be from the province of Quebec because they cheer and yell, and they're just clamoring all the time for autographs. And Ron, typical of Ron, he's always happy to do it. He's just one of the most approachable drivers you could ever want to meet.
Now, guys, we run 16 laps here in the first 20 minutes or so, even with that early caution. Fellows leading in GTS in the early going. We didn't get a chance to talk about it. Terry Borcheller was out in front in the Saleen, and that's a car that's really been snake-bitten this year. They've been on pit road with a problem already, haven't they? Let's get it downstairs to Jan Magnussen.
With Franz Conrad. Now, Terry had a flat out there on the racetrack. He came in and made a pit stop. Was that just a puncture, or did he hit something?
He had a little contact with a prototype. We don't chew in a moment is the bunch is coming from this touching with the prototype or not. So the tire people will inspect the tire and then we know more. So we're really unlucky in a moment.
You know, you did take on some fuel, so there is some hope you could get back on a different pit sequence, right?
Yes, exactly. So we refuel the car, put a new set of tires on, and then keep going a little bit longer now with the stint.
Okay, Franz, hope there's no more damage. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Franz Conrad, the team owner and co-driver with Terry Borcheller. They're up to 23rd, or actually down to 23rd after being very strong in the first couple of laps here. But it's a Corvette show once again in GTS, at least in the hands of Ron Fellows. Andy Pilgrim, his teammate, is second. Emmanuele Pirro leads overall at Trois Rivières. Back at Trois Rivières, first hour of a 3-hour Grand Prix of Trois Rivières here on Speed. The American Le Mans Series in their first appearance here at this great racetrack. Of course, it's been in operation for more than 30 years. Here's your overall leader. In car number 1, the pole sitter, Emmanuele Pirro. And Bill, we were hearing, you talked earlier about fuel consumption. They might try to do this on 2 stops.
One of the advantages, again, of that Audi engine, we saw at Le Mans when they developed the direct injection motor. It's so good. Once again, I mean, look at Mid-Ohio. The mileage they got was just frightening.
Take a look at the digital pilot here as Pirro goes up the backstretch.
Yeah, and watch the brake temperature when he gets under really heavy braking at the end of the straight here. Whoopee. Just a fast run up to 1,200 odd degrees.
So getting rid of the heat on those brakes is very important.
Look at 13, 1,400 degrees. And then the cooling ability of the carbon brakes, that's what really floors me.
That is the one thing you have to say. Is that cool? Is the way they heat up intensely, Bill, and the efficiency of them, and then the way they cool off afterwards. And that is what they're like. That is
Great battle here. This is for fourth, and Johnny Herbert takes it away from Bryan Herta.
Great move by Herbert down the inside. I don't think Herta was even expecting that.
We talked about how Kristensen had to bring the 2 car from 20th on the grid. Remember, Herbert spun in turn 1 and had to start from the back on the restart. He is up in position. He's up in 4th right now.
And look at this, just cutting inside. That's a nice move. That's being aggressive and doing it perfectly.
The most important thing is to get alongside the guy before you know he's about to turn in. That's the critical part.
Oh, and yet it was so frustrating for Johnny back at Mid-Ohio. He was punted by one of the slower GT Porsches and really didn't do a thing wrong. He was just going into the corner, and this guy made this is a good battle for second. That's Tom Kristensen who's come right up.
He is breathing down Jan Magnussen's exhaust.
He will not make it easy for him.
Nah. You think Magnussen will make the car pretty wide here?
Oh, I would say so. I think he's going to use as much of the strength of the Panoz as he possibly can, and that's the grunt off the corner.
But of course, with the wonderful ride that Audi has, and the Panoz obviously doesn't, obviously he cannot brake as late as the Audi.
Yeah.
So Kristensen can just cruise along with him and then just hopefully for him, dip down the inside.
Jan was able to make it a lot more equal battle at Washington because of the smooth track surface. That the car is very, very good under braking on a smooth surface, but over the bumps, because the shock and springs just can't control the tire sting on the ground so much, he has to back out a little bit to avoid a wheel lockup.
Now, as we watch this battle for second, one of the contenders in 675, the Banana Joe's Lola, Calvin Fish, they've got problems.
Yeah, they've been in here early and worked continuously on the gearbox. It's a 6-speed sequential box, and it's the first time the team has really had trouble with that. They couldn't get it out of gear. You see the crew pushing him down pit lane. I think they're going to take it back to the paddock and do some more detailed work on that. At the same time, the 30 car, the other Banana Joe's entry, the LMP 900 car with Andy Lally was in with a suspected tire going down. So he came in just precautionary, changed all 4 tires, and he's back underway.
Lally was as high as 4th in the 30 car. John Field is the points leader in 675. As we take a look at some of the other cars in competition in the 675s, that's Jeff Buckham's 56 car, the blue prototype that you see. And they right now are out in front of the 675 category. Ben Devlin in the Archangel car in second as Herbert laps by the 56 and by one of the Vipers in GTS. Buxton 9th overall in that Pilbeam with a Nissan motor behind him.
Boy, that's one thing that's changed so much, Derek. Remember that nowadays with all the electronic shifting mechanisms, if the car gets locked in gear, you have to call an electrician. Back in the old days, you'd beat the devil out of it with a big hammer.
That's right. How things have changed. You keep saying the old days, it wasn't that long ago, Bill.
No, 2 years ago.
Bucknam is 9th overall in that 56, doing a nice job in that car. He's got 2 co-drivers on board this weekend. And in 675, guys, it's been more of an attrition battle in most of the races we've seen this year. You have to finish.
It sure has, and that has been one of the keys. I think anybody that has finished the race has gone home a winner.
Yeah, but the series is getting much stronger in that lighter class, and I think that, that is a real strong middle field way to be. I think it's very important for the series. We have this area.
Well, I think once the reliability problems are solved, once again, I look back at Sebring and see what Johnny Kane did. God, he turned some blistering laps in that little car, and it didn't even look like it was particularly well set up, but very fast.
Jan Magnussen has been passed by Kristensen, so he's back in 3rd spot in the Panoz. You're on board with Magnussen up the backstretch here at Trois Rivières.
It doesn't look like Jan's having a real fun day in that car. Even though he's driving the wheels off it, it's still pushing a lot. You see him using a lot of steering effort going into that corner, and then coming out, it's flicking to that power oversteer every single time.
Well, it does, absolutely. See, it pushes, as you say, going in, and then it bounces and kicks out, and that really is not a nice progression at all.
You have to like go-karts.
Kristensen in the 2 car. And Rinaldo Capello, the winners at Road America, sitting 2nd now.
Another little slide off the corner there. Jan is getting the power down. Pull the tail out just a touch.
They're real racers. They love sliding the cars. They love the work. Look at the input he puts into it. He's tigering all the way. Former F1 driver, of course.
And a former star in the car.
Doesn't like that.
Oh, man.
How much room do you need in that Porsche, boys?
Magnussen up behind one of the Alex Job McKenna Zybernaut Porsches.
I think we have to be careful not to listen to his radio right at this point if he gets cut off again.
But you see, at the same time, you know, we've all been there, Bill. I haven't driven the smaller cars so much, but, you know, they're having a race too.
Oh, sure.
He always used to say, as long as the driver is doing a good job and using all the road in the smaller group car, let him do it.
Yes.
He's having a race. If he pulls over, the other guy makes up 2 seconds.
Definitely.
That's the 23 car of class leader, Lucas Luhr, watching Magnussen grab him. We'll get in that car later. We'll be back. Much more to come from Trois Rivières. Part of the view you enjoy when you come to Trois Rivières in Quebec, about 70 miles north and east of Montreal. It's been a picture-perfect weekend. Temperature in the 80s and just a huge party at this street circuit. 33rd renewal of this great event. A reminder, tomorrow, more live coverage from Trois Rivières at 1 o'clock Eastern. The Toyota Atlantic Championship only here on Speed. Brian Till and I will have the call for you tomorrow. We're on board with the overall leader, Emmanuele Pirro, in the Audi. Car number 1, Bill, and he's built a 9-second lead.
He continues to drive very smoothly. He's not running particularly quick laps right now, and I think that shows that he's kind of taking his time going through traffic.
Absolutely. Well, you do when you're front end. It's quite difficult to know how to balance it, because do you go like hell for leather, or do you try and conserve the fuel, conserve the car, and not take any risk? Meanwhile, his teammate Kristensen's knocking 2 seconds a lap off him.
Yeah, Johnny Herbert too. Johnny is now up to 4th place, so doing a wonderful job.
I think we all felt that the Panoses would have a great opportunity here because it is a tight racetrack, point and squirt, as both of you would say, but so far they just haven't shown us much.
No, I think that the difference between here and Washington really comes down to the bumps. That if this track were smooth, yes, I think the Panoz would definitely be much, much more competitive. Washington, again, negated the Audi's advantage, and I think that is the real strength of the Audi, is the ability of that car to go over the bumps so successfully.
I'll never forget standing at turn 1 at Sebring this year,
Yes.
watching them practice, Bill, and seeing the way the Audis came round. I mean, they just floated round and the wheel went up and down on the bumps. Everything else was launching its way through.
The body remains very constant, and then the suspension works.
Up top, your overall view of the GT category. Take a look at this Porsche-dominated group. 23 car out in front right now. Lucas Luhr under the arch up the back straightaway. Luhr 12th overall. A couple of laps down to Pirro already, but with a good advantage, Luhr ahead of his teammate Bergmeister by about 4 seconds. Next in line is Stefan Veilleux in one of the Porsche house cars, the 88. Kevin Buckler actually is 3rd, and then it's Veilleux. And one of the other GT cars that we expected to see quite a bit from, the Kevin Buckler entry, in good shape in 3rd spot, but he hasn't really been up to challenge yet.
No, I think for some of our viewers that may wonder, well, why would Lucas be trying to stretch a lead out on his own teammate at this point? Even though they are teammates, there's a lot of inter-team rivalry, and I think good-natured kidding goes on at the restaurants at night. You go for a beer with the other guys, you go, it's 0.2 of a second faster than you today. And they all really kid around very, very well. And one of the things that does impress me so much, but Lucas and Sascha, they're always at dinner together. They're always racing go-karts together. They really get along very, very well. In fact, they do the whole team, and I think that's so nice to see.
Got to look there at the gap between Luhr and Bergmeister in the 22, the 2 Alex Job entries. At the top of the charts in GT, and there's about a 5-second gap right now between the 2 cars.
Well, the other thing that can happen, guys, if you get the overall leader get between you and your teammate there and we get a full caution period, you essentially gain a lap on your teammate. So sometimes you'll play those games a little bit. You don't want to take too much out of the car. This track is brutal on these Porsche GTs in terms of the drivetrain and brakes. And I spoke to Alex Job last evening. He said our guys know how to handle this circuit, how to look after the car. But it looks like Lucas and Sascha's car are pushing pretty hard right now.
Watching the GTS Corvette of Ron Fellows go sailing by. Let's take a look at how Bergmeister is managing that race car, the Porsche Digital Pilot.
Let's see how slow he comes down to, just coming out of the straight here. It's 49 miles an hour at one point. All right, Derek, what do you reckon the speed of the Arch is going to be? Take a quick guess before he gets there.
40 mile an hour.
Okay, here we go. Oh, not bad.
Far out.
That's not bad at all.
Only because I know what I'm doing through there. But I tell you what is so wonderful about this is these guys can get in these Porsches. Anybody drive their heart out and always finish races. The Porsches build cars for finishing races. And although they might have problems with the brakes, things like that, they're concerned, you can still drive them pedal to the metal and have great races.
Oh,
You know that, Bill. We used to do it together.
Remarkably reliable.
Yeah.
One of the Panoz is arrowing by. They are 3rd and 5th overall. Magnussen is 3rd. Herta is 5th. As we take a look at Kevin Buckler's 66 car, 3rd in GT. Behind young Melanie Paterson in her first ride in a ALMS car, that 675 car, the 19th. She'll share that with Paul Fix. Buckler 15th overall. He's got his work cut out for him. That new backing from Mail to Web, a good plus certainly for Buckler's Racers group, but they haven't found much speed here yet, guys.
I personally like the Adobe Road sponsorship on that car.
A lot of charm there. Whoa,
Boy, and the
4
Panoz.
cars under a blanket.
Look at the Panoz right up on the tail again.
Magnussen has caught up to Kristensen, who's 2nd.
Well, Kristensen's being much easier in the traffic, and Magnussen's a street fighter, and that's exactly what you're seeing.
He is.
Magnussen really on the charge to try to get back to 2nd spot. Still very early in the going at Trois Rivières. Your GT standings look like this. Back live at Trois Rivières, Quebec, Canada here on Speed, the American Le Mans Series with Derek Bell and Bill Adam. I'm Rick Benjamin. A reminder, full recap of a huge weekend in motorsports only on Speed News tonight at 7, of course, with John Roberts and Bob Barsha. Tomorrow, our NASCAR edition of Speed News at 7 Eastern, and then Speed News Sunday at 7:30. Hope you could join us. We'll recap the ALMS, the Brickyard 400, and a whole lot more this weekend here on Speed News. That battle for 2nd, guys, between Kristensen and Magnussen was a dandy for about 3 laps, and now Kristensen's opened up the lead again.
Yeah, I think just because of traffic, though, don't you, Derek? It looked like he got caught a little bit.
I do very much, and now you'll see that Kristensen's getting hurt a little bit by traffic too. It's going to happen all the time. It's going to be 6 and a half a dozen another, but you know, in this street fighting, you watch, you'll catch him right up again.
Now, it's early in the going. We've still got 2 hours, 20 minutes of this 3-hour timed event. Here he comes to the inside. Good move to get by Ben Devlin's car.
Yeah. You see, and the Audi was held up. Yeah. And look at Magnussen right up behind him.
Yeah, there's always that ebb and flow that sometimes you run across a clump of cars and you just get them at the absolute worst part.
Well, just a quick update on Kristensen there. We see him get caught up there by Magnussen there for a couple of laps, and he had reported into the Yost team that he was struggling with understeering the car, and there was some concern, a little bit of a mild panic here in the Yost camp. A lot of people running around. They went to the screens. One of the beauty now with all of the technology that they have is that they went to the telemetry and saw that the tire pressures are okay, gave Tom the thumbs up. They said, give it 2 more laps, make sure everything comes back to you, and he got back on the pace and running pretty hard laps once again.
So he backed out of it.
Calvin, you remember, yes, to copy that on what's happening from the Panoz side, they believe that what Calvin was talking about earlier about the different tires between with the soft tires on the Audi and the medium and hard tires on the Panoz is coming to them. As Jan Magnussen started to close in, they had sort of, you know, they used hand signals down here. They used a fishing rod. In other words, we're reeling him in because we think we have the right tire selection for a hot day.
At the same time, the main complaint is that the Audi does have understeering or push in it. It's a natural thing.
Like, watch Jan right here. Look at the amount of lock he's putting on that wheel going through these corners. That's not a particularly sharp corner.
He's steering with the gas pedal more than anything else.
I would have thought he did. I wouldn't. I've not driven one of those. I don't know if you have, Bill. I just wonder what the steering rate is like, because every corner he puts a heck of a lot of effort, a heck of a lot of turn into that wheel. Look how much.
You can hear it.
Oh, you can hear it.
Yeah, you can actually hear it.
He lost grip then, didn't he, as he actually initially turned in. But I mean, wow, that is destroying his tires.
Boy, he's caught right up. Look at this. He may pass him right here.
Yeah.
He's got a good run on
for second spot to the outside.
No, but he's not
dive inside. Dive inside.
There he goes. He's got him.
And he runs Kristensen on a racetrack.
Brilliant.
Yeah, he absolutely upset himself there. I mean, Kristensen tried to bluff him going in the corner and bluffed himself.
Wow.
Nearly got in the wall there.
He came very close. He got over the crown of the road. Instead of having some banking to help you, it actually helps push you out to the wall.
And what you have to remember is as the race progresses, there's a lot of dust, a lot of rubber coming off these tires. It hits the wall, but it can't go on the grass because there's no grass. Drops back in and makes it loose.
Take another look at the move by Jan Magnussen to snake second spot back from Tom Kristensen. Coming up the front straightaway, guys. Look at this swing to the outside.
Yeah, the old outside-inside move. Look at Tom moving over to try and block him, and suddenly he's on the gray area of the track, as Derek said, no grip out there, and Jan just snookered him.
Great move by Magnussen to take over second spot. Now, what can he do with Pirro? He's 7 seconds behind. And what I was leading up to a moment ago, it's very early in the going here. This is considered a sprint race. Don't you save something for the third hour?
I think Jan has so much that he can expend more than anybody else and still have a full bank account.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think the thing is, you drive flat out, but when you have to turn it on, there's another few percent there that you didn't think you had. It's true, you know?
Yep.
You drive flat out, so I'm going to drive this flat out. It's pedal to the metal, but you always find a bit more when you need it.
It'll be interesting to hear what Calvin can find out on the Audi pits, because he was saying Kristensen had backed out a little, checked the car, make sure everything's right, and then go. We thought he was going.
Yeah, and Jan actually just got blocked there coming on the straight. Lost a little bit of momentum down the straight, but let's just see what happens over the course of the next couple of laps.
I think the Audi just fooled himself. I think Tom got on that muck on the right, which, remember, nobody runs on the right-hand side, as we talked about in that incident at the start. Nobody runs on the right for turn one. Tom went out there to block Kristensen, to stop Magnussen coming inside him, and shot himself in the foot.
Yeah.
So Kristensen back now in third. He's given up about 6 car lengths. There's Magnussen. And the red, white, and blue Panoz up in second. 2 wins for Magnussen and Brabham this year.
Boy, what a luxury. This is 2 races in a row now. We've been able to watch these 2 brilliant drivers go at it tooth and nail. It's such fun.
Just a slugfest going by the Olive Garden Ferrari, one of the GTS contenders, the 0 car. We have onboard looks, of course, from Nespe.
There we are.
And Scattarella. They are 11th overall. They've started to gain some ground now, too. The 2 Corvettes are leading. Then Marino Franchitti is third at GTS. This car is fourth and starting to reel in the leaders. We'll take a look at the overall top 10 for you. In the first hour of action, it's Pirro leading Magnussen and Kristensen. We'll be back. Back live at Trois Rivières, the Grand Prix of Trois Rivières in Quebec, Canada, the legendary street course, 33rd renewal of this event. First time, though, that the American Le Mans Series has been the headline show here on Speed with Derek Bell and Bill Adam. I'm Rick Benjamin. Great to have you with us. Brian Herta there in car number 51, the second of the 2 Panozes. Now, Herta is 5th overall, guys. He's just been lapped by both his teammate Magnussen and Kristensen.
Really amazing. I think it shows the pace of the race, or more likely the pace that Kristensen and Magnussen are both maintaining to be lapping him this quickly.
I find it very hard to believe they have, but they have. There's nothing you can say about it when you consider that Magnussen was fighting to get by Herta. It just seems like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Look at this traffic here. So wide down that bit of straight there.
It's an extra element that makes these short tracks so exciting in the American Le Mans Series, as we have seen this year already in Washington and also in Mid-Ohio. There's just action everywhere. 26 cars taking the green. Kevin Buckler's Racers Group Porsche, the blue car there. Very competitive, third in GT right now. He's about 10 seconds behind, second spot. Herta tucked in behind one of the 2 BMWs.
You know, this place really is like Monaco in so many ways, in that it's got this wonderful tradition behind it. Earlier, I was talking to some of the flag marshals out at the track. These unsung heroes are like the mechanics and crew chiefs, never get enough thanks. And some of the marshals, there was one fella who flies over here from Sweden every year just to flag these events.
Wow, that is dedication.
Oh my.
It's a way to participate, and they all love it. Kristensen working through some of the GT cars, the Yes Network Porsche, Leo Hendry on board the 43. I'm on board here.
They are a special breed, these marshals, you have to say, because half of them are facing the opposite way anyway, so they don't even see the racing going on.
They see it going away from them, that's all.
That's right, like they really have to keep a team of flaggers on each corner, one looking to see what's happening as they approach the corner, and one watching as they leave, so they can warn if something has happened around the corner and then put the flag out and warn people. So they do a great job.
Now, we've been watching through Magnussen's helmet camera. This is one of the other onboard cameras. Sitting third, he's been passed again by Kristensen. So he had the second place
and
spot
he just
taken away. He gave it up again.
Sorry to interrupt, Rick. I just noticed he slowed down a lot.
Yeah.
He all of a sudden dropped 6 seconds a lap. So I don't know what happened there in that lap.
Thinking that perhaps he was hung up in traffic, as all the leaders have had their hands full. 26 cars in the field, and everyone's still there. John Field had gone behind the wall for a while. At the top of the broadcast, we showed you some statistics on just how tight this course is and how dense the traffic is. We calculated it out. Each car has about 99 yards of racetrack to work with. Now, if we were playing football, you'd say, hey, no problem at all. But at a car that's moving 300 feet per second or so, that's not a lot of room.
No, and this
three wide into one here. Oh, boy.
That's a... He got away with it.
He got away with it.
I wonder, too, about going down the inside of that area where the 675 car had no traction.
No, poor old Terry Borcheller, he didn't have too much of a view of where cars were, because remember, he was behind one car, and had the Porsche behind him and another car coming up. It's like, where was he going to be?
3 cars with much different performance levels there. The GTS Saleen of Borcheller, and then the yellow and white Alex Stroh Porsche at the top of the charts in GT. So you've really got your hands full with these faster LMP 900.
I think Magnussen's got a bit of a problem because there's his own teammate Herta who's actually catching back up to him.
Yeah, but he's back up to 1:02, 1 minute 02. So there was a heck of a lot of traffic at that one point, Bill. I think he's back on it again. You wait and see. See even there. Oh my goodness.
Herta trying to get by Borcheller. Last couple of corners here, very tricky at Trois Rivières before you hit the front stretch. That's pit in.
Thankfully, it's a driver with the talent of Terry Borcheller. Yeah. There's a lot of people who you do that with. There's going to be a definite bump. Terry is good enough to constantly be aware of cars always around him.
But I would say the visibility is lousy out the back of that Saleen. It can't be good. I mean, look at the back rear body. I mean,
what is it they said in Gumball Rally? What is behind you does not matter.
Have to rely on those mirrors. Herta down the hill, headed toward the arch there in the 51 car.
Well, and the flaggers too. We've talked about it. They're also added mirrors for you.
Borcheller 14th overall, so he pitted very early with tire problems in GTS. He led the first couple of laps in GTS ahead of the Corvettes. Had to come to pit road, first GTS car to make a stop. He's worked his way back up through the ranks. He is 5th in the category and 14th overall. Emmanuele Pirro so far out for a Saturday afternoon drive in car number 1. We'll be back. Back live at Trois Rivières, Quebec, Canada, the American Le Mans Series here on Speed. On board with the overall leader, the Audi car number 1, Emmanuele Pirro. Frank Bila will share the car with him. Pirro on the pole. He has led all the way so far. 48 laps complete in 1 hour. Just about done. Our speed strip up top of your screen will show you the overall running order. The 26 cars in competition here today at Trois Rivières. Huge crowd on hand. Great weekend for motorsports. 33rd time they've held this street circuit event. Tomorrow, live coverage of the Toyota Atlantics and the Trans Am Championship only here on Speed. And there goes your race leader moving by the S Network Porsche in GT under the arch.
And there's your second place man right behind, too. He's not far behind.
Not at all. Tom Kristensen in the 2 car, gaining ground. He's 4.5 seconds behind the leader, Calvin Fish. What is the Yost team planning? The first pit stops ought to be coming up shortly.
Well, Ed Turner is from England. He actually worked on my Formula 3 car when I drove for Eddie Jordan. We used to call him ET. He just turned around to Dindo. He said, we're going to be making a pit stop soon. When you get in this car, be very, very careful. He said the track is extremely slippery. So Tom was obviously calling in and saying he's not happy with the handling of the car. They're waiting to hit their pit window, which for an Audi, I think is about anywhere 2 hours out, the way we saw them run in mid-Ohio. But I think any time now, if we get a yellow, they will definitely pit. And then I think they're just waiting to see when the Panoz pits. They don't want the Panoz to not pit, them come in and maybe catch a yellow. So I think they're waiting for the Panoz to pit first, then we'll probably see the 2 car in. For the Panoz strategy, let's go down to Jan.
They are waiting for the Panoz to pit. It's going to be very soon. It'll be 3 laps for the 50 car. Jan Magnussen will come onto pit road, and they will not change drivers. Of course, they'll take a look at the tires and see if they want to double stint the tires or not, but that is not going to play into their strategy. In other words, they will now have to make a 3-stop race, whereas the Audi with better fuel economy can only stop twice.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that they had actually thought about early on, that if the race had been 15 minutes shorter, they potentially could have got away with 1 less stop, and that's just the way it's going to be. So right now, I think with the temperatures of the day and the fact that it's an open car, this is a relatively comfortable car to drive, and it's got fairly good airflow. Any of the LMP cars are much better than the closed cockpit cars.
Watching the 50, Magnussen is 3rd. He had that great charge several laps ago to take 2nd away from Kristensen, but Kristensen was able to pick Magnussen off in traffic shortly thereafter, retake 2nd spot. So as we ride with Magnussen, he is 3rd overall, and he's about 6 or 7 seconds behind Kristensen, who runs in 2nd.
I think the way you have to look at it is, these guys are out there and they start to feel the car slide, and they think they might have a problem with their tire pressures, which is obviously what we had a report on earlier with the Works Audi. Then you get it back together and you start thinking, this car is still starting about, there is something wrong with my car. And on a minute lap, you only need a couple of those sort of thoughts going through your head to slow you down. Boy, you lose 4 seconds. And that's exactly, I think, what's happened to both of them in the last few laps. They've never run all weekend this long on any of the tires because it's the longest period they've
It'll
run.
be very interesting on the pit stop for one of our guys to get over there and see if they're going to go with the same compound tires as they did on the Panoz.
I want to ask you both as well, to hear from pit road that the race leaders, as we hear the onboard radio, and apparently a radio problem there. If you're the overall leader, why would you set your pit stop strategy based on what the second team is going to do?
He's coming in.
He's in early. Am I right? He said 3 laps, I thought.
Somewhere within the next 3.
Oh,
so.
within 3.
Magnussen observing the pit road speed limit.
No, he stalled. He stalled it.
They think he's out of fuel. That's the word we're hearing to Calvin Fish.
Just came by me, guys, and the engine just cut off completely when Jan hit pit lane. I think he's got to refight. He's trying to get up to his pit stall, but this is costing them precious seconds with green flag running out on the racetrack.
But couldn't they run and push him because he's in the pit lane? Or am I a bit out of touch here? Obviously not. I thought they could push him once you're in the pit lane.
Magnussen rolling the car to his pit stall.
Oh,
he's not quite there yet. Now, I wonder if they've got an electrical problem, because just as that happened, we were listening to the radio and his radio cut out. Jan Beekes.
Answer to your question about whether you can push the car, according to Jan Magnussen, you can. You may have been able to see him in the cockpit, furious, on the radio, giving the international sign for push me. They wanted to get this car pushed, and I think the crew, for some reason, was just waiting for him, thinking that he, in fact, could get it rolled into his position. Now, you'll notice, like we said, they're not going to change drivers. It does appear as though they are going to go ahead and put a fresh set of Michelins on this car, but as you said, he has lost all kinds of valuable time now on pit road.
Yeah, what Michelins are they going to put on Jan? If you want to check the compounds, I'm curious to see if they're going to stay with their original choice.
I will do that. As soon as they're done checking, or changing, I should say, I will check and find out exactly what they're going with. I anticipated that they were going to go with the mediums on the front and the hot weather tires on the rear because of the temperatures today. That allows Jan Magnussen to really stand on it and not have to try and save the tires.
Now, one thing that Jan could do right now is to turn on the ignition without refiring to allow the fuel pumps to build up pressure.
You see his finger on the
Look at that. There's still no lights.
That was very cool of you to say that, Bill, because that's what he should have been doing, is had the pumps on already.
In trouble. Looks like Chris Dyson in the Riley and Scott.
Look at the wing.
He's losing the rear wing. Yeah, maybe he's gotten into the wall. There's damage on the front bodywork.
Yeah, the right front is gone too. I wonder if he hit it and he dropped something
He
on the
loses
track.
a piece on the track, comes to pit road. So Chris Dyson's day, which was going very well, serious problems for that.
Maybe.
Some would say ancient Riley and Scott
Maybe
Ford.
up at the end of this. Well, there's
Up
going
the
down the
backstretch.
straight.
He and Bryan Herta side by side. Oh, and Herta got into him.
Boy, a great job of control by Chris.
But he hasn't lost his wing yet. When did he lose the wing?
Look at this, going through this corner. He's carrying a lot of speed.
He's right behind John Field.
Yeah, but when did he lose I didn't see where he lost the wing.
Not at all.
There was contact.
Unless the contact might have broken a wing support.
He must have gotten into the wall somewhere, guys, because the right front corner of the car has got pretty extensive bodywork damage. Terry Borcheller puts the Saleen into the tire barriers. This is coming out of the arch, heading up to the backstretch.
Yeah, look at the rubber. He locked up the brakes. There's a trail of rubber coming right underneath that arch.
And the leaders are coming to pit road as well. Driver change coming. Biela will get in car number 1, the overall race leader. Actually, that looks like the other car about to make a change. Let's get into Calvin Fish.
Well, we believe there's going to be a tyre compound change, just as you suggested, guys. I just spoke to Reinhold Joost. He said both guys are particularly unhappy with the handling of the car, and they're going to go to a slightly harder compound. We believe they started the race on a soft front, medium rear, so they're probably going to go to the Panoz setup, which is a medium front, hot weather rear tire. So it should give the guys a little bit more consistency. Then the question will be, will they be able to double stint it from there? Frank Biela's jumping in. He was the birthday boy here yesterday, and he was rewarded with Emmanuele Pirro's first pole position of the season. And as we see here, typical Joost efficiency in the tire change. Tires have been done, fuel is in. A little bit of a problem there, actually, inside the cockpit, and Frank waves him out of the way. He's back underway. 60 clicks down pit lane.
He just had to plug in his radio there too. That was something that had popped out. Maybe the crew member accidentally pulled it out, but that's putting the radio cord back on the dashboard.
He's lucky to be able to reach that. In most cases, you can't reach it. It's behind your head.
We've just passed the 1 hour mark, guys, so they are on pace to do this race in 2 stops.
If you're wondering what that flickering is on the right of that's his visor, his sort of extra shield on his visor that's flickering, giving funny colors away.
His tear-off.
His tear-off is the correct word, I'm so sorry.
And Borcheller getting some help from the track workers to move the 26 car out of the way. Meantime, Kristensen in the deuce. The other Audi, the yellow trim car, you see moving by Field in the 37. Kristensen has lapped the 1 car. Now, they have not yet stopped, so they're stretching the fuel mileage even further.
They are.
I think you must bear in mind look at the traffic there's been, look at the problems they're having with traffic. Not only are they getting overtaken by the leading group, the 900s, they're overtaking everybody else as well, and they're having their own race. So obviously something happens to Ron and some traffic comes around and the guy loses some time, and that's probably what happened.
This team have been working so hard too on cockpit ducting. You see, there goes Fellows right up alongside.
Challenging for the lead at GTS.
No, and what a class move by Andy Pilger. He backed off and let that pass take place. He is such a good driver and such a great teammate for Ron Fellows. I've admired Andy's ability for a long, long time. And not only his ability to go quickly, but keep aware of what is around you at all times. He's just a really sharp driver.
Right behind the two Corvettes, one of the GT contenders. The Alex Joe McKenna Zybernon Porsches, that's Jorg Bergmeister. And Fellows is now the GTS leader once again in the 3 car. Really a home court kind of ball game for Fellows this weekend. Grew up near Toronto, but this is a place where the fans just love to see their Canadian drivers in action. And Fellows arguably the most accomplished of the Canadian drivers currently racing.
I think so.
You accepted.
Well, thank you so much. Now, Ron Fellows has accomplished everything that any driver could ever dream about. I mean, winning Le Mans, winning Daytona 24, winning Sebring. They really have done everything with this Corvette. Ron Fellows had some spectacular Trans Am victories down at the Trois Rivières circuit years ago. And the crowds used to, as I said, they just come out and cheer and yell. They idolize him for good reason.
Checking out some of our onboard radios. Couldn't hear anybody speaking that time, though. And one of the Audis on pit road, Calvin Fish.
Well, the number 2 car stretching their mileage just a little bit further. We thought they were going to be early, about the same time as the 1 machine, but they've stretched it a little bit, so a different strategy. Checked in with the team once again. They again are changing the tyre compound setup on the number 2 car here. So Tom is handing over to Dindo. We expect Dindo to do a double stint, just the same strategy with the other team. But a lot will depend on how things go. If the Panoz can mount a challenge, they need to get a fresh driver in, just like what won the race in DC for Panoz by having a fresh driver in at the end. They may take that option up. But fuel is in, driver change is underway, and we're seeing a different tyre pound going on for Michelin, but everything looks routine thus far.
Capello getting hooked up, front tires going on the 2 car.
I think Tom should maybe get out of the way. He's standing out there and he's looking at the car.
Providing moral support.
He's probably thinking to himself, did I do everything right? I noticed him carefully plugging in all the belts. When you're wearing these helmets, of course, it's impossible to look down in your lap and you really can't see the belt to plug it in easily. That's why it's easier for the driver who's exiting to help. There's the Corvette coming in too. That's Pilgrim.
Pilgrim in for his first stop of the day as Capello leaves pit road.
The thing I did notice...
Corvette coming back out.
Pilgrim on pit road during the stop that we saw where Capello got in the 2 car.
The thing I did notice was as they were changing drivers, I saw that Kristensen had to lengthen the seatbelts to get it done up for Dindo, which surprises me that he didn't slacken them off as he came up the pit lane himself.
That was his job.
Heavy traffic through the arch. The Audi makes it through successfully. Lots of action still to come at Trois Rivières. We'll be back. An exciting first hour here at Trois Rivières. The green flag and trouble into turn 1. Steve Knight and the Nighthawk 675 car. Jonny Herbert make contact. Herbert brings the 38 car to pit road. They change the rear bodywork and top him off with fuel, which will pay off. In battling between the 2 Panozes, Herbert flying back through the field off the restart, getting by Bryan Herta in the 51 car. Best battle of the day, Magnussen and Kristensen here for second. Magnussen with the outside-in move in turn 1 got the spot, but a few laps later had problems getting his car to his pit stall. It stalled. Didn't get a push. He had to walk the car up on the ignition, evidently. It was a very long stop that cost Magnussen a top 3 position. He is 4th right now. He stayed in the car. So the overall leader back to being car number 1. Frank Biela is in the car now. Pirro put the car on pole. Started today. As we show you the overall top 10, it's Biela in the 1. Herbert sits 2nd. Capello in the other Audi. Then Magnussen and Herta. Fellows leads his teammate Collins at the top of GTS. The Ferrari is 8th. We'll be back. Our Speed Channel coverage of the American Le Mans Series being brought to you today by Porsche. What only a Porsche brings to driving. Into the second hour of action here at Trois Rivières. On board with the overall leader in car number 1, the pole-sitting car. Frank Biela wheeling this machine now. If there's been a dominant team in the American Le Mans Series, it's been this car, the number 1. They have won a couple of times this year, and their drivers top the points table. Mila into the final couple of corners, setting up for the front straightaway. Very tight coming through here, and Derek Bill Adam will show you the second place car. Johnny Herbert has stayed in this machine. He's 13 seconds back, but it's really been a good day so far for the champion group.
I think they've done extremely well with the ADT champion car. The crew responded very quickly, did a wonderful job, didn't get rattled by replacing that rear hood. And Johnny, I think he likes this kind of a challenge. He seems to get his teeth into it and just really go.
He loves the fight, Johnny does. I mean, look at his history. When you think what he's done in his life and fought back from near death.
Brilliant.
To come back to this and go back into Formula 1 and then come to this. And nothing frightens him. You just love to drive at Indianapolis.
Oh, boy.
You know, it was not scheduled for him. They expected for him to not change, I should say. So Johnny Herbert was expected to stay in the car. However, they did not expect to change tires, but they got the thumbs down from the Michelin man on the right rear. So they had to change all 4 tires. They did the whole thing in 53 seconds, and they stayed with the the soft compound on the front and the medium at the rear.
Wow. That's good news, actually.
So the 38 of Herbert, lapping through some of the slower traffic, second spot. Now, he is not in a position yet to challenge against Biela. He's quite a good distance behind the race leader. Let's show you the gap between Herbert and second here in the white ADT champion car. Here's the third place machine, the 2 with Capello driving right now.
And Capello, once again, has the problem with the Panoz, so let's see how wide the Panoz is going to be, Derek.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. He's looking down the inside, but remember, Capello hasn't had to deal with too many cars yet because he's only just got in the Audi. So he's got to learn the nuances of some of these drivers, or perhaps I should say the bad habits of some of these drivers.
And right there, that is so frustrating for Capello. He came down there to the arch and almost had to come to a dead stop. The traffic was so heavy at that point.
Now the 2 Panoz cars are 4th and 5th. Tom Kristensen starting the 2. He's just gotten out. Calvin Fish is the 2-car contender here today?
Well, let's ask Tom. Tom, it's been a very short weekend for you, 2-day weekend here, and you went into the race with a setup. You actually changed springs and bars and a bit of an unknown quantity. How was it? Looked like a bit of a handful for you.
Yeah, it's pretty tough out there because it has rained and the session, as you said, have been short. Obviously, the qualifying for me was very, very short, but and it's we have never been here before, so it's really, really tricky. The grip only gets in the line, and as we have to pass all the time when we go offline, the cars really just slide onto the line and try to get the grip again.
We noticed when Jan got by you there in turn 1, you went a little bit offline, almost caught the tires there. That was a close one.
No, not yet. It was not close on that. But I mean, he passed me. That's true. But the thing is, you struggle a lot to get it back in line and to keep the grip because the pressures are keeping increasing on the tires because you slide so much offline. And when the pressure increases in the tire, the grip level is very difficult. So when you brake and turn in, the car skips over the bumps, but we're still in there.
Don't count these Audi boys out, but it looked like we have to work a little bit harder here today to come home on the top of the podium, guys.
Al Capello is 3rd in that 2-car that Kristensen just vacated. He's about 8 seconds behind Johnny Herbert. Herbert trails Biela, the overall leader, by 12, and he's stuck again behind one of the Panoz cars. The 2 Panozes running together. They are 4th and 5th. The 51 car with Herta is 5th. Magnussen is 4th. We'll grab a quick timeout here at Trois Rivières. No change out in front. It's Biela in car number 1. We'll be back. Full weekend of live motorsports coverage for you only here on Speed Channel. Coming up when we're finished tonight, NASCAR Winston Cup coverage. Happy hour, final practice for tomorrow's running of the Brickyard 400 only here on Speed. Be a great show tomorrow, of course, from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You're on board with the overall leader, Frank Biela, in car number 1. He continues to set the pace about 14 seconds ahead of Johnny Herbert. The car that's been very strong in GT all year, one of the McKenna Alex Joe Porsches on pit road. Fuel stop there. Driver getting ready to move back out again. On board the 22, Jorg Bergmeister at the wheel, has been at the wheel. They're sitting, have been 2nd in GT behind their team car, the 23 with Lucas Luhr and Sascha Maassen. Kevin Buckler in the Racers Group Porsche, the 66, 3rd in category. Let's get it to Jan Bikas, who's in the Alex Joe pit.
Jorg Bergmeister. But in fact, they made a driver change, so Timo Bernhard is now behind the wheel. Very quick change, right on a minute for Alex Job. They also changed tires.
So just a routine service for that team as they sit second. You can see Bernhard tightening up the shoulder straps after settling in. And it was a good battle for second in GT. Bergmeister, when he was in the car, now Timo Bernhard's just taken over, but Bergmeister and Kevin Buckler were really getting after it, battling for second spot in GT. And then one of the Panoz has got in the middle of this thing too and turned Buckler around.
Boy, oh boy. Just a little tap on that fender, that's all it took.
Magnussen in the 50. And
Tried to
drive
refire
to the
it.
inside, stalled the car. And we saw briefly on air, we saw the aftermath of that. You could see Magnussen rolling out of power before he could get the car refired on the short chute leading to the first straight, the main straight.
Oh, look at the braking.
Offline for Ben Devlin in the 13.
He got so sideways, didn't he, Derek?
So once you start hitting those bumps and the wheels locked up, there is no way you're going to attempt to turn into a walled end.
That's
only once.
Yeah, only once.
Mike Johnson's Archangel car in the 675 category. And remember, they wrecked that car hard yesterday. Apparently a suspension bit failed in the left rear corner. Turned Devlin hard left into the wall. Mike talked about it during our pre-race coverage today. They stayed up all night patching the tub. It had 2 big holes in it. It's not a backup car. They hung a lot of new parts on it, of course, but they're here to race today. They still think they can win the 675 championship through consistency. On board Timo Bernhard. Second spot in GT. Meantime, one of the Corvettes back on pit road, Calvin Fish.
Well, it's the number 3 car. It's their first pit stop, in fact, and it's going to be Johnny O'Connell jumping in. Ron Fellows getting out of the car. Pretty good battle here going on between the 2 team cars this afternoon. I just spoke to Andy Pilgrim. He said his car was running very strongly, and they just felt they might have had a tire coming down. That's why the 4 car was in early. These guys have really worked hard under these hot street conditions to really get some fresh air into the drivers. They're actually using a dry ice system, which will last the full 3 hours here. They don't have to replenish it during these pit stops. And it's really giving the drivers good fresh air into the helmet system and really keeping them fresh. Because driving one of these cars is about 165-degree cockpit temperature, and they're just boiling your feet when you're behind the cockpit, particularly if you attempt to do a double. Fueling has been done. Driver change is complete. Fresh set of Goodyear rubber going on for Johnny O.
Talked to Johnny at Washington, D.C. 2 weeks ago. That was their debut of that new dry ice system. He said, man, I'm good to go. I don't care that it's 98 degrees here. I've got my new cool vest on.
Yeah, I think credit to this whole crew for having worked so hard to try and make driver cooling one of their priorities. Boy, how many cars have you and I been in? They're like saunas.
Well, I have to tell the little Audi that I raced in the GT is not very comfortable for heat because we have no air duct in it. It's damn hot in there. But going back to this race, I was talking to James Weaver, who incidentally, after that incident with Chris had earlier, it was quite a problem. They dropped a lot of time, but James is having a blast out of it. He was saying that even in that open car, it was 155 degrees cockpit temperature because the radiator's by their feet.
That big Ford rumbling right behind your shoulders would be plenty warm. Let's get it downstairs to Jan Beekes.
Yeah, and we'll get a quick word with Kevin Buckler. Kevin, what happened? Was contact with an LMP car?
Yeah, I was having a great battle with one of the Job cars. I'm about 6 inches off his butt. And one of the Panoz tried to dive bomb the hairpin and hit me from behind and spun me out. And then when I came back around the corner just to prove his point, he tried to sideswipe me right here. So he did sideswipe me again.
How much damage? I saw you were here for a while repairing damage. How bad's the car hurt?
Yeah, the car's still working. It's a great little car. I mean, the Porsche is awesome. It seemed to get better. I tried to go easy on the tires, got it behind the Job car. We were having a great battle, and then I got hit from behind.
Well, guys, you talk about how hot it is. You know what? Kevin Buckler looks pretty fresh.
He looks fresh, but frosted, I think would be the way to put it right now. Shaking his head, not happy at all, and we understand there will be a penalty assessed to Magnussen. He's going to come to pit road as Buckler gestures to one of his crew members. A stop-and-go penalty coming for the 50 car because of that incident with the contact with Buckler. It's knocked the 66 back to 4th at GT. Vila still in control at Trois Rivières. Back at Trois Rivières, and more problems for one of the Panoz as Jan Magnussen assessed a stop-and-go penalty. Guys, he's got an electrical problem, evidently. Has had trouble getting the car just to the penalty box to serve his time. Stalled the car on pit road a couple of times. They're telling him he can go.
How do we lose so much time now?
Listening to the team radios.
Now remember, in Washington, Bill Oberlin's car had a problem with the pit lane, the speed limiting button, and I wonder if this is the same thing here.
They changed the steering wheel to change the electrics on the 51 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, because when he actually came in for that previous stop, you know,
his
half
battery
an hour ago, well, his battery's all right because he's got the lights.
Yeah, but it may not be enough to turn over that big 6-liter motor.
But they're not going dim as he presses it, are they?
No, they're pulling behind pit wall.
Trying to turn the car manually with the crew
Take it
pulling
out.
and pushing to get it behind the garage wall, the pit wall. Back to the paddock area here at Trois Rivières. Meantime, Bila leads by 12.5 seconds over Jonny Herbert. 84 laps complete, and we're past halfway, an hour 28 remaining here at Trois Rivières.
Gesturing to the official, asking if they can push it back in.
They've put the computer on the side gunnel of the car there to try to diagnose the problem. We're being told by IMSA this is not the stop and go. Oh, the
no.
3 car. Johnny O'Connell has stuffed the lead Corvette into the tires coming through the arch at the bottom of the hill in turn 3. The first chink in the Corvette armor that we've seen all season long, gentlemen.
Oh, and that's fairly well buried in there. Now, the tires would have helped minimize the damage. It's going to be a case of, has he hit the radiator?
Johnny O had just gotten in the car and stuck it in the wall.
It's ugly, but I don't know if that's going to be necessarily terminal.
Well, they can slap a new nose piece on it.
well-
Let's take a look and see how it happened. This is coming through the arch. Just ran out of road, guys.
Yeah, he did. He may have missed. Boy, you see the amount of rebound at the back of the car, which just forced right back
Another
out.
look here.
He was just going too fast.
Yeah, he was.
He just never slowed it down enough under brakes.
And, you know, one thought does occur to me, Derek. You mentioned all the places you've run, all the years you've been active in the sport. This is the first time you've been here. For a lot of these drivers, they've never run here before because this is the first trip for ALMS to Trois Rivières.
Well, that's right. We never came with IMSA in the old days. Look at it. He's going to have to go in the pits.
No, he's not. No, he passed
He
it.
should do. He doesn't know the damage, does he? I would have said that was he's going to get a problem with his front right tire, isn't he?
Well, you know what?
It's got to be where.
Yeah,
there he
there's
goes.
a little bit of smoke right there, but that may be the body work.
That's the
Maybe the body
work.
work just being forced down against the tire at this
No,
point.
they'll have to bring him in and sort of lift that bodywork up, I would say.
I don't know.
Once again, James Weaver there in the Dyson car, which has been repaired. They fixed the front bodywork and put a new wing on the 16, so he's back in speed.
And as James said to me earlier, all I'm going to do is go and have fun. He said, I'm going to show the public how to drive sideways. And if anybody can, he can.
You know what? In the 50 car, guys, he's behind the wall. He still has to serve the penalty, losing tremendous time. They were second. They're down to 6th and losing ground rapidly, Calvin Fish. What's going on?
Well, a quick update on the Corvette situation. I heard Johnny O's radio communication. He was saying, what happened in our pit stop? How did the 4-car have such a big lead when he came out after his pit stop with Ron Fellows turning the car over to him? So that may have been a concern for Johnny. He may have been pushing hard. This is a spare nose all ready to go. If they have to change this, that's about a 10-minute change. So they're going to be reluctant to do that. So I think we're going to see the race estate come out at best, and hopefully Johnny can stay out there on track right now.
Yeah, I think that's a wiser move at this point. I mean, number one, you want to get Johnny back underway and make sure the car is still doing everything properly. And he has to monitor all of his gauges very, very carefully right now because there's probably water and oil coolers up on that front corner. If he were to stop, then he's certainly going to lose a lap to his teammate. Right now, he's a long way behind, but at least he's still on the same lap.
Well, while the Corvette team tries to sort all that out, the Panoz group, meantime, they're making a driver change. Jan Bikas, what's the situation? Have they gotten the car ready to refire?
Well, they're working on it, and what they have to do is it's called the map pressure sensor that's in the airbox. They think that that has failed. And what happens is that when you hit the pit speed limiter, then the car won't run. So it's not actually the fault of the pit speed limiter, it's a sensor that they're going to make an attempt to fix or disconnect. And, you know, it's only hit or miss if it's going to run on pit road.
Still working, got the laptop computer up on there to see. Meantime, Brabham is strapped in, ready to go if they can refire it. Now, the Panoz team really a contender here. They've got a lot of innovations in these machines this season. One of them is in the cockpit. Calvin Fish took a look this weekend.
If things go wrong for the Panoz drivers in a pit stop, even simply stalling the engine, there's a very specific procedure for the drivers to go through. It's not as simple as going to the start button, firing the engine, and taking back off again. They need to go to the steering wheel itself. The first thing they need to do is to find first gear, even with the engine shut down, over here on the paddle shifter. That will then enable them to find neutral by pressing this green button. Then they can go over to the dash, fire the engine back up. Now, if they have a problem out on the racetrack and actually nose the car into the tire barrier, for example, in a different gear, they need to come back through the transmission down to first gear, find neutral again, and then find reverse. That will enable them to get underway. Hopefully they can make their way back to pit lane, the pit crew can go in action, and hopefully Dom Panoz is not waiting for them.
That can happen, certainly. One of the GT contenders, one of the Alex Job McKenna Zybernon Porsches, the 23, that's been leading with Lucas Luhr on pit road, and Calvin gets around a lot. He's there.
Well, they should keep that lead. They've turned the car over now to Sascha Maassen. Looked like a perfect pit stop by Alex Job. Tyre change, fresh Michelin's on. The crew giving themselves a big clap, big high fives down here. Good start for the GT team. Let's get down to Jan Beekers.
And with Jan Magnussen, a very frustrating day for you. What did appear to be the problem there near the end with the car shutting off?
Well, I'm not sure. I know they were down there fixing it, getting Brabham back in it. But I would think an airbox problem, but I'm not sure.
Tell us, you had some contact out there with the 66 car, the blue Porsche of Kevin Buckler. What happened in that incident?
I went in to try and pass him. I knew that when I did it, it was too late, but it's so knife edge out there. It's very slippery surface. I hit him, he spun around, and that was it, I guess.
All right, sorry your day was cut short.
Yeah.
And they have had problems with that car, Bill Adam. We heard yesterday they tried to reseal the airbox.
One of the problems in qualifying when they're trying to get out to do it is that they had taken the airbox off. And of course, when the airbox is on the car, one of the rules under the ACO regulations is if you put your hand over the airbox intake, the car has to stall. Well, they didn't get the seal right, and by the time they got it fixed, they lost a lot of that valuable qualifying time. So maybe it had something to do with that.
Plenty of action everywhere at Trois Rivières, the shortest track in the American Le Mans Series. We'll see all year. But the pole-sitting car with Frank Biela driving is your overall leader. We'll be back.
Think these cars aren't athletes? They go from 0 to 100 and back to 0 in 9 seconds. They race hours on end with no timeouts. They reach 600 degrees but never break a sweat. Want to see an athlete? Want to see it again? The American Le Mans Series.
Come to the mail2web.com Grand Prix of Mosport, August 16th through the 18th at Mosport International Raceway.
Welcome back to Trois Rivières. The car that's been leading in the 675 category, Bill Adam, for quite some time. Had a problem just a moment ago. Take a look at that car. Brian Willman driving that Pilbeam Nissan, Jeff Buckman's car, and he had a pretty serious excursion off the racetrack. He seems to still have a problem. He threw his hand up there going at that left-hander.
Yeah, again, at that point, we saw him a few laps before actually get the back of the car really doing the old tail wag down the end of the straight. And that's where he went off. He just went off on what is actually called an escape road down there. Didn't hit anything, but at least he was able to get going. And you can see he's warning somebody who's slowing down, pulling the inside of the track.
Almost looks as though he might have a tire going down. Here's the aftermath after the trip down the escape road. They were able to push start the car and get it back underway.
The track workers all signal, touchdown.
Willman looking for a spot to pull the car back on the track, but as we say, he is now headed to pit road. So that team has been out in front of the 675s for some time. Take a look at the scoring situation. Got about a 1 lap advantage over Paul Fix in that yellow number 19. Fix and Melanie Paterson making her first ALMS start.
I wonder if they've had a problem with the brakes. Maybe they boiled the brakes.
Yeah. Team owner Jeff Bucknam started the car. Willman unhooking and climbing out. There's a third driver on the team. Chris McMurray out of Phoenix apparently was ready to get in. I want to welcome to the broadcast booth Randy Popst. And Randy, it's great to have you with us. One of the great Porsche drivers, one of the great GT drivers in the land. And it's good to have you join us here this week.
It's good to be here. And there goes my old car.
Yeah.
And the other one.
Special feelings about that, right?
Oh, yeah, it's great. I'm rooting for the guys to have a good race. The Alex Job team is hot. And we're going to get back out with Peterson Motorsports and try to beat them later in the season.
Good for you.
Look forward to seeing you do that. Meantime, here's the car that stands to benefit from the Bucknam team's problems. Paul Fix and Melanie Paterson in that 19th first time out for this team.
Now, Paul Fix, he's getting a few added laps this weekend, too, because he's going to be tomorrow, and we're going to be broadcasting the Trans Am race right from the circuit. Paul Fix will be in the Trans Am field also.
Melanie Paterson, the co-driver, is a very talented female driver, has a lot of Formula car experience, a Canadian.
Yeah.
From, I think, over on the West Coast, Vancouver area maybe. And she's also a pace car driver in another series. Really talented. I'd love to see her win, frankly.
They're doing very well here. They've had their problems this weekend. Melanie Paterson, yesterday, they got tangled up with Jan Magnussen during practice yesterday right for qualifying.
Jan, again?
They've managed to fix the 19 car. They're backing, although there's body damage to the right front corner of this car.
She and Kevin Buckler aren't going to be sending him any birthday cards, I don't think.
No.
And we're being told that the car that has been leading in the 675s, the Team Bucknam entry, the number 56, will be brought in for a stop-and-go penalty for getting some help from the corner workers to get refired. That's not considered allowable under Le Mans Series.
It's still an acceptable penalty, though, because if you're stranded out there with a flat battery, you have to do it.
Now, I see the damage now. It's not bodywork. It's the little flipper. The little winglet on the right front corner is knocked up, so that will not help the handling of that car. Oh, and more problems for the Panoz. A spin, it appears, coming toward pit in.
Boy, that's a dangerous location. He's right on the exit of turn 8.
Brabham loses the car going toward the entrance of pit road.
Great job turning it around, David, but keep it running,
again,
buddy.
Yeah.
Boy, just all sorts of gremlins for the 50 car today after a great first 20 laps of their race. Gets it refired.
He turns that car well. I like that one quick move and none of this backing up stuff. Just dump the clutch and use the horses.
So Brabham back on the throttle in the 50, being shown down in 8th after losing several laps behind the wall to electrical problems. Vila still leads at Trois Rivières. Welcome back to the streets of Trois Rivières, Quebec, Canada here on Speed. Coverage of the American Le Mans Series. Watching your leader, Frank Vila. Many ways the teams can improve the safety of their drivers. Our Michelin safety tip. Bill Adams shows us how a GT team helps their drivers.
We've all done it hundreds of times. You get into your car and you sit on the seatbelt. You get into an aircraft, you sit in the seatbelt. You have to get up and fumble with it and readjust. Well, if you're in a race team, you can't afford to waste that time when you're doing a driver change. You've got to get those belts out of the way. But how to do it? How to guarantee that it literally doesn't become a pain in the you-know-where? Well, here's the solution. This tubing is attached to each part of the seatbelt, and it's called surgical tubing, just like what you'd see in a hospital, and it is very, very springy. Now, when the driver comes in, gets ready for the pit change, to get the belts out of the way, all he does is that. He releases the belt, and you can see how the actual belts are pulled well out of the way. Then the next driver can get in, do up the belts without a problem. It's just one more of these little tiny things that keeps the waste down to a minimum. You don't want to waste any time at all. This racing is so close.
Hundredths of a second can count on. I wonder if that's Holly Jobe, Alex's wife, is a nurse. I wonder if that was her contribution to the team, Randy.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, AJR is the first team that I saw do that. And I raced for endurance racing for many years, fumbling with the belts.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's even more important to have a quick driver change because if you're not going to change tires, you got to do it in less time than it takes to fuel.
Yep. We've got an hour and 12 minutes to go, and this is for the lead in GT. The two Alex Jobe Porsches, nose to tail, less than a second apart. The 23 with Sascha Maassen, the 22, Timo Bernhard in first and second.
Timo is the young kid. He's fresh from Germany. He's won the Carrera Cup last year over in Europe. Very talented, very young, very ambitious, very small. He's actually got about a 30, 40-pound weight advantage on Sascha in size alone.
Let's find out more about the Jobe team's day so far. Calvin Fish.
Well, Lucas is watching the monitors here, watching Sascha out front, but the sister car is really putting the pressure on this afternoon. I spoke to Alex last evening. He said no team orders with you guys, but what happens when you get in a situation like this? How much of a fight can you do against one another?
Well, I was fighting really hard out there. I hope Sascha is doing the same. I know he will do the same. And I give him the car in the lead. And for sure, he won't let Timo pass. So I'm pretty optimistic that we can hold position.
Long way to go yet in this event. This racetrack is brutally tough on equipment. What do you have to really safeguard against when you're out there driving in terms of the equipment this afternoon?
Well, because of a lot of the bumps, you have to be careful a little bit of the drive shafts and to have not so much wheel spin on the bumps. And apart from that, a little bit of brake issue because it's really hot. The brakes haven't really a cool down situation. And apart from that, Porsche built a good racing car, so everything must hold, you know.
All right, mate. Well, good luck the rest of the way. Porsche's out front 1-2, but I think we should see a spirited battle there this afternoon.
It has been a dandy so far. The 23 car, though, Maassen out in front. And he started to stretch the lead just a little. Bernhard had gotten within half a second of him at one point. Now it's probably a second and change as they start up the backstretch here at Trois Rivières.
He's got such a very infectious smile, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, the Audi got him right inside.
On board as we ride up the long backstretch here. Take a look at the GT standings. The 23 and the 22 are up front. Back live at Trois Rivières in Quebec, Canada. Here on Speed, coverage of the American Le Mans Series. Randy Pope's joining Bill Adam. I'm Rick Benjamin. Good to have you with us as we are in the second hour. Guys, this is for the lead in GT. And Randy, you raced for Alex Jones for a couple of seasons. Is his heart in his mouth when he sees his two cars going at it like this?
Oh, yeah, guaranteed. The only guy nervous about this is Alex himself because those are his cars going around out there. Maybe Alwyn Springer with Porsche Motorsport. The drivers are doing their job. These guys are battling it out. And the traffic's just part of what you deal with. You can see that Timo lost a little bit of time. Well, guess what? 2 corners later, Sascha's going to lose a little bit of time. And there's give and take, give and take. And you've got to be mature enough to understand you're going to get a shot a little bit later, not get too wound up. Part of the challenge of American Le Mans racing is doing your racing within this other traffic.
Yeah, keeping your eye on the rest of the classes of cars around you now as we ride with David Brabham, guys. Timo Bernhard had Brabham just appear on the inside of his race car and duck in front of him as they came off the backstretch and made that left-hander. Up in front, Johnny O'Connell in car number 3 with that damaged right front corner. Wanted to check in on the GTS battle. Johnny O doesn't seem to have lost much, Bill Adam. He's 6th overall.
Yeah, he is. He's still running on the same lap, too, but 44 seconds back from his teammate Kelly Collins and another Corvette. So he really has to keep the pressure up if he hopes to try and salvage a win out of this. And since he's the one that put in the barrier, there's nothing more that he would like than to get a win back.
Look at that Corvette holding off the Panoz here.
It's a strong car.
That's end of the straight. You got the lightweight of an LMP 900, much lighter than a GTS car. Can outbrake him, but it looks like the Corvette's working very well to hold off that Panoz through the windy bits.
You know, the initial acceleration, I think, of all three classes from 30 to 100 miles an hour is relatively close. The gap tends to broaden much greater as you go up in the speed.
Power to weight ratios versus aerodynamics, etc. The light cars like the Porsche 911, it can come off a corner pretty darn well.
Yeah, you can.
But there's no substitute for the cubes.
Oh, boy. No.
Once you get going, those cubic inches
I think they can make a 7-liter Porsche.
Oh, they could if they wanted to. In fact, I think
Porsche can make anything they want.
Yes, they do.
You got it. Right now, they're focusing on the GT class. It's about a 450 horse class.
Yeah.
GTS cars are more about 650 horse. And actually, the LMP 900s are not a whole lot more than that, but they're much lighter.
Up top of the screen, you see our overall running order. And at the head of the pack, it is still Frank Biela. He's got a 12.3 second lead over Johnny Herbert. Biela and Emmanuele Pirro. No, not at all. Take a look at the performance friction brakes telemetry on the one car. We'll show you how hot these brakes get. Now, these are carbon fiber, of course, going down into that hard left.
160. Now, in my GT Porsche in the Speed World Challenge, I'm running 130 on that same straightaway. That's a big difference on a short straight.
Yeah, it's amazing. He's so fast and so quick. Earlier, when we were sitting here with Derek, we're watching how the brake temperatures go up to temperature so fast, but also how fast they lose that temperature. They dissipate the heat.
Part of that is the carbon fiber. These LMP 900s run carbon brakes. They get hot very quickly, and they dissipate the heat very quickly. It is amazing the changes. I mean, how those materials can stand to change temperature that quickly.
Yeah, without cracking.
Without cracking and coming apart, which metal would probably do.
Performance friction brakes.
And we should note, even though we are in Canada and everything else is measured in Celsius here, those, of course, are Fahrenheit temperatures on the bottom right of the screen.
So what is that? I think you take about half and you subtract 32 to get Celsius, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty close.
Too much math. I'm a driver. I leave that to my engineer.
That's why they make computers these days.
That's right.
Somebody going very slow.
Looked like maybe a Porsche. Looked wounded that one did. I think he's trying to limp back to the pits.
Coming up on the third hour of racing, guys. We'll be seeing pit stops, I would imagine, pretty shortly for the leaders particularly.
That slow car reminds me of what a good job of flagging has been done at this track.
Yeah.
For instance, when that Corvette went in the tires, the next car through missed him. That's a sign of good flagging.
It is.
They are excellent.
Biela continues to dominate. Johnny Herbert, though, cut the lead down to 10 seconds. So Herbert, who's come from the back twice, may be in contention shortly. We will see. An incredibly fast weekend continues tonight here on Speed Channel. Once we are done for the day, Championship Off-Road Racing Series from Crandon International. Coverage tonight at 9 Eastern only here on Speed. Of course, Speed News wraps up everything that's been going on here at Trois Rivières and at the Brickyard and elsewhere in the Great Wheel of Motorsports, 7 o'clock Eastern tonight, only on Speed. 1 hour to go. Your overall running order, Frank Biela is out in front in car number 1. Emmanuele Pirro put the car on the pole. Let's take a look, guys, at something we've been calculating as we come up on what should be the second stops for Audi. Look at the big disparity. The number 1 car's been in one time for 1:13. The champion car's had to stop twice for almost double that length of time.
Primarily because of that lap 1 turn 1 incident where they had to replace their bodywork. It's really quite amazing when you look at now. Johnny Herbert is only 8.3 seconds back from Biela. He is closing every single lap. So you take away that time there, Herbert would have over a 1 lap lead.
Looks like Herbert's got a good setup this weekend in the champion Audi. I would love to see that car win. They've been so close.
So would I. I mean, it's a special spot in my heart. I talked earlier with their engineer, Marcus, and he was saying how they've been working so hard on the shocks, and that they were able to get, you know, Randy, yourself, how you measure your shocks, and you don't want to get too much bounce or rebound, compression or rebound, and try and make it as smooth as possible. Yep. He said they had almost a flat line on the shocks, and he said they were so happy this car was working so well.
Well, it looks like it is.
Champion car.
And this street course, being as rough as it is a shock track.
It is.
If you've got the setup on your shocks, you're going to be quicker here at Trois Rivières, especially there coming through the arch and then down at the end of the straight.
Guys, taking a look at the Corvette, the 3 car, Johnny O'Connell, a pit stop, and Calvin Fish, they don't look like they're back up to speed yet. Is everything okay there?
Well, Johnny reported that the transmission fluid light was on, meaning he's getting some sort of temperature issue there, and they brought him in, topped the fluid back up, did fuel and tires at the same time, so I'm going to try and get an update for you to see if he is back up to speed. Meanwhile, the number 1 car, the Audi car, is in.
I'll tell you one thing, Calvin, that he is doing, and I can hear it on the monitor. He is short shifting, and he is not using all of the gearbox. He's actually lugging the car off the corners.
Here is Biela on pit road. Should be the second and final stop of the day for the race leader. They were the pole sitters. They've led all the way here today.
Look at him aiming that fire extinguisher right at the driver. A little bit intimidating, but I guess it's a safety factor.
Calvin Fish, routine stop for the 1 team.
It is, and I just spoke to Pirro. He said the tyres should be good to go. They're on a slightly harder cold pattern now for the rest of the session, and they looked at the left front wheel, actually, like there may be a brake issue, but then got the thumbs up. Other than that, it was just fuel and gas, or fuel only, should I say, for Biela.
Fuel and gas.
Sometimes you need both.
Sometimes you have both.
One of the factors on these street circuits is transmissions.
Yeah.
They get a beating, and that may be what is the problem with O'Connell's car right now.
Now, something that's going to be taking place very shortly, Johnny Herbert is now in the lead, but of course we'll have to make a pit stop. This is just pure excitement for the pit crews when they get a chance to shine, to show that they are better than the other guys.
Yeah.
In this case, the champion guys want to be better than the Yost guys. So they'll all be talking to each other going, right, okay, when we bring Johnny in, we got to just make this tremendous stop.
Now, we said that the 1 car had led all the way. They did give up the lead on their first pit stop. It did not take them.
Look
trouble.
at this.
1 GT car. Looks like one of the Vipers has just stuffed it in a huge way. That's the 44 car of the American Viper Racing Team. This is the end of the front stretch, I believe. This is where all the excitement happened in the first corner of the race this afternoon.
Skid marks going in, so at least he did have some braking.
He had brakes. Could be
and the 19 car, Melanie Paterson, Paul Fix with problems in the backstretch.
Yeah.
That's the 3rd time today they've had difficulty. The 44 car, Tom Weichert and Kevin Allen, they were doing very well today. Allen in the car, they were 16th overall.
That looks like a stuck throttle to me. I saw 2 skid marks, not 4. And with that kind of straight ahead impact, Kevin Allen, a friend of mine, a champion club racer and working his way up the pro ranks, he looks like he's okay, and that's a good thing. I wonder if he had the Hans device on. Doesn't look like it unless he's gotten it off already.
That's the value of soft walls. The car,
Yes.
of course, suffering damage, but Allen able to get out. He'll be a little sore tomorrow, but
Thank goodness.
great thing to put that car into a tire barrier. Of course, that's what you have on street courses. Heavy damage to the nose.
Yeah, what
of the
we're seeing
44
there
car.
is that's not the whole front of the car bent up. That's just the bodywork.
Yeah.
A lot of times the bodywork can make a crash look worse than it is.
Yeah. Second time today, we've been under full course caution, and the lead Audi may have been caught out there. They stopped under green. We'll see if the rest of the contenders make their stops under caution when we come back. Back at Trois Rivières under caution. Calvin Fish on pit road.
Well, this could be the key move of the race. Rinaldo Capello is in with the two-machine. Fuel is in, and they're going to fresh tires. Remember, Bila did not change tires. Capello will have more grip as he races to the checkered flag.
The two-car down and away. Many of the other contenders on pit road. The 38 of Jonny Herbert leading at the moment. They have not come in as yet.
He got out of there in a hurry.
Yeah.
One of the fun things about a pit stop is when you leave, you do the 0 to 37 drag race.
As we watch the two-car leave, final hour of the race, Jan Beekes, what's going on with Jonny Herbert and the champion team? Where are they?
Well, that's what Stefan Johansson wanted to know. He said, why did we not pit? And the team said, well, we called him. He hasn't come on to pit road. First, there was some confusion because they did not hear from IMSA that the pits were open. They missed it the first time. The second time, they feel that Johnny just didn't hear them on the radio. So next time by, of course, the general rule is you always want to pit as soon as possible because you lose track position. But they still have the advantage of getting to make this stop. Under yellow, they will change drivers, as I said.
Guys, I was wondering about that, missing it the first couple of times by. It seems to me you've given up the advantage of getting under caution.
You give up a giant advantage because, of course, the field has been able to form up the accordion behind you, so you've lost that big gap.
On the track, normally there's a sign posted just before the pit entrance that says closed or open.
Here we go.
38 car on pit road. Final stop of the day.
No
Johansson
tires.
will climb in. Jan Beekes.
Well, they will go ahead and change tires as long as they're doing a driver change. It'll be the same compound tires, the soft on the front, the medium on the rear, just to have as much grip as possible. And they will not need to take a full load of fuel. This is what's called a timed fuel stop. I think that's what we saw for the factory Audis as well. They have someone on a stopwatch. I expect it to be about 30 seconds. Yeah, that was 26 seconds of fuel. So this will be a little quicker pit stop than normal. And they're hoping, obviously, the driver is going to be in position by the time they get these on. At the moment, it's a race between the tires and the driver. And I think at the moment, they're right in sync. In fact, as soon as Johnny gets him hooked up, he has to hook up his radio and his driver ID, and Stefan Johansson should fire up and be underway.
The ADT champion car off pit road, and we'll see what this does. A jumble at the top of the standings now. As remember, Herbert had taken over the lead with the two-car coming to pit road at the start of the caution period. They pit late. Now, the Audi Sport North America team, certainly the dominant group in this series. Technical innovations are helping, and Calvin Fish earlier took a look at one feature that Team Yost has developed.
Week in, week out, we watch the ALMS teams do their pit stops with superb efficiency, none more so than Audi Team Yost. Now, I've done a little bit of research in the paddock here, and there's a different theory on which way the wheel nut should tighten up and loosen off on the car. Most of the rest of the series believes that on the left-hand side of the car, you would tighten the nut up to the right-hand thread, and loosen it up to the left. Audi does it absolutely the opposite way around. They believe that under braking, you need the wheel nut tightening up to the left as it would as the wheel's moving forward. Also, there's a subtle difference here on their wheel nut design. When you look inside this gun, it has some detents to maybe try and lock the wheel nut in position. Now, with the series and the regulations, you're only allowed 2 wheel guns, 1 per side. Well, Audi have found the most efficient way to do a wheel change is to go to the rear wheel first. On this rear wheel nut, there are no little detents on this nut to hold that nut in position so they can spin the nut off. It'll literally drop on the ground. Then the mechanic moves to the front end of the car. When he moves to the front and loosens the wheel nut off here, what he has is some detents in this front nut to hold that wheel nut into the gun. He can take the nut off, it stays in the gun, replaces the wheel, tightens it back up. Meanwhile, another mechanic has gone to that rear wheel, put the rear wheel on, put the nut on, he goes back and hammers it home. Another difference in the wheel gun design is the fact there's a different torque setting for taking the wheel off and tightening it back up. When the wheel is really hot, it's very hard to get the wheel nut off, so you need a lot more pressure to get the wheel nut undone than when you're tightening it up.
Unbelievable how much science there is in something so simple as changing tires.
Incredible. You know, and here is something we talked about, this car going into the barrier. Look at how good the car has actually stood up to that huge impact. Now,
Well,
here
you
we
see
are
the diaper?
Look at this, right underneath the
Kevin
camera.
Allen
And
off the end of the front
wow.
stretch. And Randy, I think you were right on when you said I think his throttle stuck. Doesn't look like he did much except drag one wheel going into the tires.
Well, the Dodge Viper is the last car I'd want to have stuck throttle with that 8-liter engine.
The diaper you started to mention, Randy, under the car to keep the fluid from dropping
right.
on the racetrack there.
That's
So the 44 has been removed. We're still under full course caution, though. Final hour of action at Trois Rivières, and we'll be back. Back at Trois Rivières, they've cleaned up the wreckage from the 44, and the green reappears. We've got 45 minutes of racing to go. The Panoz cars in front of the 3 Audis. Vila is leading in car number 1, although, in trouble.
Cold
The
tires.
50 car goes right off in the same spot. Wonder if there might have been moisture there.
Now, cold tires, I would bet money on it. Would you agree?
You just said that, Bill. No, you're absolutely right. Cold tyres, he came in there hot. And of course, remember, they had dragged the car out, so there might have been a lot of dust that they dragged back onto the track when they pulled that car back out.
So Brabham stalled the car again. So the 50 team just snake bit.
David.
They were 8th on the restart. Brabham gets it restarted.
He didn't have to do
Remember,
that.
Calvin
did he?
told us a little while ago about the procedure you go through on that race car with the paddles and the 2 switches to get it back to neutral before you can restart and launch the car again. Take another look at what happened to David Brabham. Green reappearing. Brabham outside of 2 other cars here.
Yeah, it just
Yeah,
simply
locked it
can't
up.
slow down.
You could see
Look at
that
the
his left
trailer
wheels
rubber.
lock rubber all up as he came down on the outside there by the yellow line, Bill.
Yeah, those tires are stone cold. How frustrating, but good move. He didn't hit the tire wall.
Yeah.
That was good for him.
Didn't wrinkle up any of the bodywork. So Brabham back on the button here.
And it'll take a lap or 2 to get up temperature. You see how spooky that car looks while the tires aren't cold.
With all the problems they have had. Now remember, this team has won twice this year. They came to victory lane at Sears Point, and then 2 weeks ago at Washington, D.C. They're 11 laps down right now. Brabham just trying to salvage perhaps a top 5 and score some points for them, because the championship battle certainly not over with. This is the 6th of 10 races. As we watch Brabham.
Oh, bounce it down the straight.
I was going to say darting from bump to bump. I don't think all 4 wheels are on the road at any one point. Do you?
I bet David's shorter each race he does in these cars. Well,
Take
here
a
we
look
are.
back at the Stefan Johansson, Johnny Herbert car. They are 3rd overall in the ADT champion machine. On board with the 0, the Ferrari and Emmanuele Naspetti, 7th overall, 3rd in GTS. Good run for this team with a motor that they didn't want to be using here this weekend. And the 38 car with Johansson, his finals, the final stint of the race. First time he's been in the car today. And Jan Bikas, what does Johnny Herbert think? Can they get up front and win this thing?
Well, we'll find out. First of all, Johnny, tell me about what happened on the start with the contact from behind.
Well, got on the start and I could see Emmanuele was on my inside, and I could see, I think Brian was going a bit too fast, and I could see he made contact. So I then thought, well, I'll sweep across on the inside because I'm sure they're going to be in a bit of trouble. But just as I started to go, I think it was the MG, hit me quite hard up the back, and because I was turning, it just turned me straight round. So unfortunately, we started at the back once again.
Well, you've been playing catch-up ever since, but now it seems to be coming your way, getting the advantage of hitting under yellow. With the fresh tires, how does the car feel? Are you now a player to get up there and try and snatch the lead?
Well, I hope so. I think as we pitted, we were in the lead. I think we just lost the lead, unfortunately, at the moment. But there's a long way to go yet. The car was running very strongly, so we came from a long way back, and we're able to catch them up. So hopefully, I'm sure Stefan can hopefully do that for us and get that victory we need.
Thank you, Johnny.
Okay.
Herbert very much in the championship chase, 4th in points. Needs to get the victory lane here.
They do. They've been so close so many times. It's heartbreaking, really, to come that close.
Absolutely. You've got to remember, these 2 guys' mentality, they're both Formula One drivers. And they're not too far away. I mean, Works Ferrari, the lot. I mean, they've been everywhere. Works Benetton drivers. Ace driving, and that's what they're putting into this. And you're just going to see some spectacular driving, as you've seen at other races.
There's your race leader, car number 2, Rinaldo Capello. He and Tom Kristensen have played their cards beautifully so far. The number 1 car on the pole and had led basically the first 2+ hours, except for their 2 pit stops. But with the caution, Capello was able to take command.
And I think Capello has done a perfect job on this restart. He took advantage of being fairly near the front of the grid and has been able to stretch out a 16-second lead over Johansson in just those 3 laps.
Yeah. Stefan's losing 3 seconds a lap while he settles himself down and gets through the traffic, of course.
Capello just flicking the lights there. Look at that. Oh, boy. And again, the huge difference there was for the replacement of that body panel on the 38, the ADT champion car.
About a minute 10 difference between the time the 38 has had to spend on pit road and the time the 2 team has had to utilize. And again, as we mentioned earlier, the gap between the 2 cars is about 12 seconds. So in theory, at least, without that extra stop, the 38 would be well in hand out in front here.
Yeah, Capello did a nice job there. Just got a really good run off that arch that time. Carried a lot of throttle.
Remember back to the first hour as we watched Bryan Herta back in the 51 car, the Panoz. That has been the team that has struggled most of all, but Herta is 4th. They have soldiered on, and they are 4th. And we understand that the hopes of the ADT champion team are going to take a big blow. There's going to be a penalty assessed, perhaps a stop and go, for passing early on the restart.
Oh, man.
I think they might just give them this 20 seconds, which means they'll just deduct 20
to their time.
to their time, which means they got to go like heck for the next 40 minutes.
Well, that's another one. I mean, we saw that happen at... oh, here it is.
Stop and go penalty here for Johansson.
So they'll stop him for 20 seconds.
That should just about eliminate their chances for victory. We do have 40 minutes of racing to go, and certainly anything can happen to the 2 Yost cars.
But it is so maddening for the whole team. Everybody worked so hard. Johnny Herbert just drove his heart out. All the fellas in the crew worked so hard, and Stefan just had a mental mistake.
So there's the stop. They'll hold Johansson for 20 seconds.
Derek, if you want
official reaching in,
you want to talk about the whole idea on a restart. You're not allowed to pass.
You're not allowed to until a certain point. You're not allowed to overtake until you pass the actual checkered flag.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I say the green flag.
The green flag, yeah.
Sorry.
And Johansson serves his time in the penalty box and gets sent back out of the racetrack, but that costs them dearly. May, in fact, have put him a lap behind.
Look at that. Yep.
Cost them a lap. Now he's got to work like crazy to keep the...
I don't think there's a chance. His tire's going to be cooled down, and of course Capello will be under hot tires, so he's probably going to get by.
But it is Stefan Johansson.
The race leader is the 2 car. Capello to the inside through the arch. And Johansson lets him go.
He's lost
and does not get on the gas very hard coming off the corner with those tires being cooled off again. Jan Bikas.
In regards to Stefan Johansson, he said on the radio, "Sorry guys, I did not realize it was still yellow when I passed. It was not a case of a radio miscommunication. It was just mistaken identity. He thought the yellow had been pulled, and in fact it was not."
That is OE, guys, operator error. You can't afford that in this series. So the lead belongs to Rinaldo Capello and Tom Kristensen. Capello wheeling the 2 car in the final hour at Trois Rivières. We'll be back. Take a look at what happened in hour number 2 at Trois Rivières.
Early, about the same time as the 1 machine, but they've stretched it a little bit, so a different strategy. Check
the Dyson car, and there was contact again between one of the Panoses, the 50 car, and the Buckler machine. The 50 car has had its share of problems today. The Corvette took a shot and a trip into the tires. The car that was leading in the 675 category, the team bucked the entry off course, and then a hard wreck. Second full course caution of the day. Kevin Allen in the American Viper Racing 44 car, apparently, we think, had the throttle stick going down the front stretch. He's fine. The car heavily damaged. That was a long caution. And that is where we stand with about 37 minutes to go here at Trois Rivières. Your overall leader, Rinaldo Capello, in car number 2. He and Tom Kristensen have really run a nice race today. And Bill, we saw this team come from severe difficulties in Road America to score their first win of the season.
Yes.
Going for their second here today. They have been a team that's had problems, but it's been an error-free run for the 2 teams so far. Here's your GTS leader, Andy Pilgrim, back at the wheel of the 4 car. They've benefited from that off-course trip made by Johnny O'Connell in the 3 a few moments ago.
Yeah, this will be Andy's second victory of the year if he's able to keep going at the current rate. Right now, they enjoy a very nice lead. They're a full lap ahead of their, in fact, 2 laps they're showing right now ahead of their own teammates. So they really can afford to short shift and take life pretty easy with the car.
I mean, they shouldn't get into trouble with traffic. This is the thing, they've got to really use their brain here. But the other thing one has to say is that I'm surprised how many drivers have made errors on their own.
Yeah.
you know, without it being somebody else's fault.
Now, for folks at home who've never driven a car like this at speed, Derek, on a hot day, it's 90 degrees here. It might be 150 in some of these cockpits. Do you have brain fade?
I don't think you have brain fade. I think at certain points in the race, you have to pull yourself together and say, come on, get on with the job, because you feel some pain maybe in an ankle or in a foot or a bit of overheating. You have to overcome it, change yourself a bit, but you have to keep the pressure up. You have to keep your focus all the time.
Yeah, that front bodywork on that Corvette is continuing to rub the right front tire. You can see it shiny. It's polishing itself on the bodywork all the time.
He's doing remarkably well, because he's still doing. He's within a second of Andy Pilgrim's times, but of course, Andy's probably not stressing himself out, as you said just now.
And I'll bet right now that Johnny O'Connell is feeling a certain amount of embarrassment in having wrecked the car.
O'Connell 2 laps behind Pilgrim, second in GTS in the 3 car. The leader is the 4 Corvette, third in GTS, and it's really been a quiet but very good day for the Olive Garden Ferrari team. The 0 car is 7th overall. Emmanuele Pirro back in this machine. He started today. Their third GTS, with an engine they didn't want to run here this weekend.
Boy, that's an engine I would run at home happily. Just listen to it every day.
We're being told by team officials earlier they've got a new motor they want to debut that's even larger than the one that they've been using. Let's take a listen to this Ferrari.
Marvelous.
Under the arch. The left-hander at the end of the backstretch.
Kind of amazing, considering the amount of racing they've been doing today. All of the windshields are still in pretty good shape.
Sure, and there's your GTS leader. Andy Pilgrim sneaks by again to open up now a 3-lap lead over Nispetti. But again, bear in mind, this is not the motor they plan to run here. They have a better motor coming very soon. They were hoping to have it for this weekend. They're 7th overall in that car.
This is still a 5.5 liter V12. The Corvette up ahead is a 7 liter. And as you pointed out, they're waiting for their new 6 liter V12 to be developed. So Mr. Raffinelli is anxiously looking forward to even more horsepower coming out of that Olive Garden car.
Very good weekend for the Olive Garden Coca-Cola team. The Alex Job bunch continues to show the way in GT. Lucas Luhr in the 23 out in front. You're on board with Timo Bernhard. Right behind him, half second back, Derek Bell. They have put on a great show here today.
Absolutely. No, I mean, these guys do a really good job. I mean, they're always so competitive. Every race you see them, they're right there. Alex Job puts on a great, great outfit. They're sniffing around the outside because he got a better ride. But he's not going to give him way. He's going to try and get him under braking.
He's got him.
Wow.
Boy, oh boy.
Bernhard going for the lead here in GT, and he's got it.
Bragging rights.
That wasn't on the cards at the beginning of the day, I bet.
Jeez.
So give Timo Bernhard the top spot in GT with half an hour of racing to go.
You know, it's so funny. I had dinner with all 4 of these guys a couple of weeks back. We managed to have a pizza one night, and they're all joshing and laughing at each other, going, yeah, you won the European Porsche Cup. Oh, I beat you in such a race. And it's constant back and forth. They're great friends and great competitors.
What kind of driver is Lucas Luhr when he's faced with a challenge like this? Will he come back hard at Bernhard here?
Well, Sascha's in the car right now, but yeah, I think he will. I think there's enough pride, enough desire that he will do it.
Oh, there's no way Sascha Maassen is going to give one iota to this car in front. He obviously made a bit of a boo-boo coming out of the turn here and just sort of let it slide a bit too much and, of course, lost the momentum. But he won't do it twice.
Plus, you know what? It's a lot easier to follow, too. You can sometimes rattle the guy up ahead because instinctively you can't resist looking in the mirror to see how close the car is behind you, and that will always take away from your lap time.
Well, let's get the thoughts of the team owner who's watching his 2 prize drivers go at it, Calvin Fish.
Alex, I know you're proud to see those 2 McKenna Porsches out front, but how close are these boys going to race? I mean, that's a pretty aggressive move that Timo put there on Sascha. Hey, can he respond, and does it make you nervous sitting there watching your 2 boys at work?
Yeah, it makes me nervous when they're running that close together and we're this close to the end of the race. And, you know, we got a pretty good lead for first and second, but, you know, there's no team orders, and the guys, you know, the guys are professionals and they can race each other as hard as they can as long as they don't take each other out.
What do you think Sascha will do here? I mean, he has a lot more maturity. He's still a young boy, but he's a little bit older than Timo. Well, how will he respond to this? Will he be aggressive, or will he be thinking championship?
Well, I think Timo is younger and a little more aggressive than Sascha, although Sascha is more experienced, and you know, the experience could pay off here, or the young aggressor could pay off. They're both a little tired and a little hot, but we'll have to see how it plays out.
Well, that's a great combination. I think they got covered on both ends, guys, with the drivers they have in the cars today.
And I'll tell you exactly how important this is for bragging rights. These guys qualified, the pole position qualifying time for this car was a 106.7. That's under perfect conditions, light fuel load, nobody on the track. They just ran a 106.8.
With more than 2 hours on the board here at Trois Rivières. Final half hour of racing. A lot of stories to tell. Stick around. We'll be right back. Back live at Trois Rivières, Quebec, Canada. Plenty of coverage for you this weekend only on Speed. Tonight, coverage of the Star Mazda Series. 10 o'clock Eastern, Johnny O'Connell and I will have the call of the Mid-Ohio round of the championship. And then at 10:30 Eastern, right after the Mid-Ohio event, the Road America, round number 5, the Star Mazda season in 2002. 10:30 Eastern. Hope you can join us tonight, only here on Speed. Rinaldo Capello continues to lead, doing a nice job in car number 2. And Bill, Adam, we've watched this team throughout the season, and frankly, they have had their problems. There have been some cases where the drivers have made some bad choices, but today they played it perfectly.
They have. They really have been absolutely perfect. They did have a couple of close moments, however.
Frank Biela on board car number 1. Take a look at the incident that he was nearly a part of with Johansson.
Just right at the end of the straight, and look at that. Just the subtlest of touches on the inside. He sees it at the last moment and gets the signal. Yes, I'm number 1.
V for victory.
I think
so. That was actually, I don't think, a very good move by Capello. I don't think that was a very intelligent move by
No, I agree.
I mean, you know, you're against an identical car. You know the guy, and his guy called Johansson's driving. He doesn't want to let you by. And it's a very tight corner. I think he put them both at great risk myself.
Yeah, he's, I think he was just in a certain rhythm at that point. Didn't want to break the rhythm.
Wow, Biela with a very tight move there in that one car, coming up on the Yes Network Porsche GT 43 car. Peter Perrin driving. Biela up on the wheel in the final stages here.
One of the great advantages that the Audi has, and now the Panoz as well, is the paddle shifters. On a track like this where you're not taking your right hand off all the time to work that gear shift, it's so much safer for these fellas.
But the other thing too, Bill, is the save in energy that you're putting in, because in effort, because in fact your left foot is on a foot stop. It isn't on the clutch.
Yes.
So you've got the foot on the left foot is on the support. It's bracing you the whole way through the corners. So your body is rigid, and all you do is flick up and down the levers. When we had that in Porsche, it was fantastic.
Up the back straightaway, Biela 17 seconds behind Capello. Capello in the 2 leads, Biela in the 1. That's the pole sitting car second. And we've got really some interesting developments here in the 675 category. The badly damaged Archangel car, no rear bodywork. Ben Devlin and Marc Camirand from Three Rivers, they're leading. They've soldiered on. Now remember, they wrecked that car yesterday in practice. Let's take a look and see. The 13, Devlin is driving the car now. As they come off the final corner, this is a replay from a few moments ago. The rear deck just blows off the car.
Wow, look at how close
Fortunate
that
it landed
came.
on pit road.
And there was nobody in the way at that moment.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Goodness
That could have whacked somebody in the face in an open top car very easily.
I assume he knows it's disappeared. I mean, somebody would have told him. I mean, it's easy not to, isn't it?
It's true. Many years ago, I was driving a Can-Am car for Horst Kroll out of Toronto.
Yes, I remember it.
One of those old Lolas that driving in a Mosport. One time I come up the back straight and I saw an air scoop sitting in the street. But now, which car lost that? Well, it was mine. I didn't know.
So we watched Devlin in the 13. He has inherited the lead in the 675 category. Remember at the top of the broadcast, we talked about how John Fields, Banana Joe's Intersport team, with the newest car in the series, the MG Lola, they're the points leader. John himself, the points leader among the drivers. They've won a couple of times. They've had mechanical problems several more times. Well, they were snake bitten today. They were the quickest car by far, but they were snake bit. They went behind the wall early. They've never been a factor. Devlin and this team, the Archangel group, Mike Johnson's team, they wrecked hard yesterday here. They stayed up all night fixing the tub. They got the car on the racetrack. Mike Johnson told us before the start today, he said, hey, if we're there at the finish, we think we can win because we've got reliability. Right now, that looks as though it might carry the day for the 13 team. They've got a one-lap lead over Jeff Bucknam's team, the 56 car. They led much of the day. And then the 19, Melanie Paterson and Paul Fix, they're another 4 laps down. So Devlin and Camirand, with 22 minutes to go, if they can hang on, they're going to score the win. Now here's Bucknam's car, and Jeff is at the wheel, swinging inside Johnny O'Connell here. They're 1 lap down to the 13.
How much body can you lose and still finish the race in the lead?
You mean a driver or a car?
The information on the rear lid there is that they were hit from behind at the start of the race, and actually on a prior pit stop they changed to the spare rear bodywork. So it damaged the first one. They went to the spare, but all the catches were damaged. It stayed on, as you can see, for the nearly to the end of the finish, but now it has blown off, and they don't think it's going to be a problem as long as IMSA will let them run.
Well, they're leaving him out there now, but guys, I would think the aerodynamics of the car would be severely upset without that rear lid.
Well, you're right. The aerodynamics would be upset, but thankfully they're on a track where the aero package really doesn't matter all that much because the speeds are so low. If we were at Road America, for example, it would take them off the pace by probably 10 seconds a lap.
Plus the fact he's still got a wing on the back, and the wing is the bit that does the main job.
So Devlin continues to lead in the 675s. Back on board with Capello, the overall leader. His lead is 16 seconds over his teammate Vila. Hey, it's a full throttle weekend, of course, here on Speed Channel. Speed News tonight and tomorrow night, and then a full wrap-up of everything that goes on in the Brickyard 400. NASCAR Victory Lane with John Roberts and the boys tomorrow night at 8 Eastern only here on Speed. Hope you can join us. We've got 2 live events for you tomorrow as the Grand Prix of Trois Rivières continues. Toyota Atlantic Series of Kart at 1 o'clock Eastern tomorrow, and then at 2:30 Eastern, the SCCA Trans Am Tour for the BF Goodrich Tires Cup. We'll have the calls of those for you here tomorrow on Speed. Taking a look at some of the key contenders. One of the Panoz is the 50 car. David Brabham in that machine. He's gotten it back up to 7th. They've been off 4 or 5 times today, boys. They've really had a trouble-filled day. They've had electrical difficulties, but I think a top 7 is not a bad day considering all the difficulties they've faced.
I'm sure it's been a shattering day for them because from the highlights of Washington, what a dramatic victory that was. And they're coming to a track that has a lot of similarities. The bumps, not one of them. And they probably, like we, were thinking that this is going to be a great track for them. Maybe they could win 2 in a row, but not today.
There's Capello in car number 2, the yellow trimmed Audi. He and Tom Kristensen out in front. And there is car number 51, Bryan Herta, running in 4th. Now, they were not nearly as quick as the 50 car in the early going, but Herta and Bill Oberlin have really played a good, steady game here today, and they have solidly stuck themselves in the top 5. In fact, Herta is 4th. Got lapped early, but has been able to maintain pace ever since.
Oh, boy.
Just as I say that, locks up the brakes going down into turn number 1.
It's the speed kiss of death. We're just saying everything is perfect.
Now, Bryan Herta, of course, comes to the American Le Mans Series after many successful years in the kart champ cars. And Herta's got something new on his calendar coming up in the next couple of weeks. He'll be heading off to England. He's going to test a Formula One car for Team Minardi, but Herta tells us that he's not close to joining F1 on a permanent basis.
I've seen that out in the media, and I think they've got a little ahead of themselves there on that one. It's just right now. It's just a test, and it's a chance for me to drive the car and feel it. I've talked to the Minardi team in the past, but there's really nothing more to it right now. I talked to Jan Magnussen about Formula One, and obviously he's had some experience there, and he told me, Brian, the worst Formula One car you ever drive will still be the best car you ever drive. So I think that kind of sums it up.
Perfect. Thank you.
So Bryan Herta goes to jump into the seat of one of the Minardis in a couple of weeks, and it would certainly, we want to keep Bryan in the American Le Mans Series like the whole series sees it that way. On the other hand, it'd be great to have an American driver back in Formula One.
The trouble is he doesn't need to go to Minardi. I have to say, in the years gone by, it didn't matter which team you were in. But in fact, to be honest with you, you don't need to do Formula One at any cost.
Yeah. Well, he's having such a good fun time in the ALMS series, and he goes to Formula One, he'd never pass anybody.
On board with Frank Biela in car number 1. Porsche digital pilot telemetry on this car. Right in front of him is Herta in that 51 car, 4th overall.
Wouldn't you love a street car that would accelerate like that?
No, you wouldn't.
Like,
Afford the insurance.
The tickets would be overwhelming.
You see how much Biela's head is shaking there, and that's a pretty good indication of how rough this track is.
Yes, it is. That's a very good point. Because normally in the Audi, the drivers look like they're sitting in a chair.
It's not the Barca Lounger ride today. Let's take a listen to this race car. Pretty sound, and Biela certainly holds a pretty wheel in car number 1, sitting second, 15 seconds behind his teammate Capello. We're in the final 15 minutes at Trois Rivières. We'll be back in just a moment. Back live at Trois Rivières with Derek Bell and Bill Adam. I'm Rick Benjamin. Great to have you with us. Less than 15 minutes remaining in the inaugural Grand Prix of Trois Rivières for the American Le Mans Series. Been running here for 33 seasons. First trip for ALMS here. More live action from Trois Rivières tomorrow. We're live with the CART Toyota Atlantic Series at 1 o'clock Eastern, only here on Speed. Ryan Gills will join the top side tomorrow for the Atlantics. Right after the Atlantic show at 2:30 Eastern tomorrow, it's the SCCA Trans Am Series. For years, the traditional headliners back after a couple of seasons away. The Trans Am Tour back at Trois Rivières. We've got the coverage live tomorrow at 2:30 Eastern. Bill and I will have the call for you of that one tomorrow. Should be a great show. Qualifying very competitive in the Trans Am Series. Paul Gentilozzi. Butch Leitzinger has been just as hot as anyone in motorsports the last many weeks in the Tom Gloy Chevrolet, and of course Boris Said remains the point leader. So it'll be a great battle here at Trois Rivières tomorrow. Meantime, Capello continues to lead. Guys, any opportunity here? Biela doesn't seem to want to fight here in the last few
No,
minutes.
and it looks to me like Capello is very hungry for the victory because he continues to circulate at a very quick pace. And in fact, that last lap, he picked up 3 seconds on Biela.
We had talked off the air before we came on today about how Capello and the Yost team might have had some moments this year because of some of the mental mistakes he's made. Does this earn him redemption, taking the car home to victory today?
It certainly helps, no question. I mean, but something I mentioned was that sometimes drivers and teams go through periods where you just seem to do wrong thing after wrong thing after wrong thing, and it tends to be a terrible snowball, doesn't it, Derek?
But eventually you get on top of it and
you do.
Change the colours of the car and you're away.
Let's move on to GTS for a moment, gentlemen. The 4 car with Andy Pilgrim up to 5th overall now. He's opened up an even larger lead over Johnny O'Connell in the team car, the 3. And remember, O'Connell put the 3 car into the tire barrier much earlier today. They had to come to pit road, lost more than a minute as your leader Capello squirts by the 4. But Pilgrim, I think, really deserves a call here because he's got that car up to 5th overall,
Amazing.
Calvin Fish.
Is out of the car. And Callie, you guys, even with Johnny's problem sticking the nose in the tyres there, cost him a bit of time. It looked like you guys had the pace today with the setup with the 4 car. You and Andy did a tremendous job.
Yeah, well, working with the engineers, we made a calculated guess this morning, and it worked out really good. The car was soft, a little heavy rolling around. We scratched our head a little bit and said, do we want that during the race? But we figured it'd get hot, the track would get slippery, and come back to us, and that's what happened. The other car made a spring change, a little stiffer. I think they were fighting it there at a little bit at the beginning. We had a very strong car. I mean, it's seldom that you actually hear a driver say for real, we had a really good car, and it's a good car now, and we just make it the next 15 minutes.
Tell us about the season, unbeaten for the team, but you and Andy haven't really got the breaks. Like in DC, you got stuck with the pace car beating you out of the pit lane. You're kind of racing those guys. They're on the track at 50 miles an hour. You're stuck at 38, so you lost a lap there. The brakes seem to have gone the 3 car way. How frustrating is it for you and Andy to deal with that?
You know what, it's really frustrating, and I'm kind of the wild person. I'm the one that gets really aggravated by that kind of stuff, and Andy's very low-key, so we make a good pairing as the teammates, and we just keep on next race, we just, get rid of it and go to the next race, and we bow our heads and go for it. We're trying to beat our other car. Like people, there's a lot of speculation that there's team orders, and there never is. We just had some bad breaks this year, and we're pushing forward.
Kelly, good luck. We look forward to seeing hopefully your second win this year.
Right, hopefully. Thanks.
Well, the Ford car, Pilgrim and Collins, they're leading GTS. As we say, they're 5th overall. They're on pace for their second win of the season in 6 tries, and this would continue that 6-for-6 string for the Corvette team from General Motors. Our final commercial break of the Grand Prix of Trois Rivières. We'll come back and take you all the way to conclusion in a moment. Welcome back to the Grand Prix of Trois Rivières with Derek Bell and Bill Adam. I'm Rick Benjamin, Jan Beekes and Calvin Fish on pit road. Riding with David Brabham in the Panoz, the car number 50. He and Jan Magnussen had that car up to second early. They've had a ton of problems since, but David has put his head down and gotten them back to 6th, and that's not a bad drive at all, Bill.
Well, he's having a whale of a drive right now. He's just throwing this car all over the place and treating it almost like a go-kart. See him going in, he's kind of flicking the car hard in the corner and using a lot of throttle coming off, frequent power slides, just a terrific job.
And not that long ago, we were taking a look at the battle for supremacy in the GT ranks. Really an inter-squad fight between the 2 Alex Job Porsches. And it's closed back up again. Sascha Maassen and Timo Bernhard. Now they're just about half a second apart at the moment.
Yeah, Sascha Maassen has responded. He now is running laps after almost 3 hours of racing, a second faster than he qualified on the pole.
105.9 last time around.
Unbelievable.
Here they are down the front straightaway, 6 minutes to go. The champion ADT Audi kind of in the middle of the scramble here.
I think you have to accept that on this circuit, it's a road circuit, a street circuit. Of course, it takes a lot of time to get rubber laid on the track, and the track only goes faster rather than slower.
Well, this may be a chance, Derek. Look, if he got blocked by the champion car, watch Sascha. I think he's going to take a shot at the end of the straight.
Maassen in the 23 car behind the 22 of Timo Bernhard.
You've got to remember, there's a lot of stake here. It's not just Porsche Cup. It's not just within their team. It's the fact that one of these guys or some of these guys could go on to be part of the Porsche prototype program in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
So there's a heck of a lot of internal fighting going on. Believe you and me.
Even though we have Porsche prototype car?
Is that a Porsche jacket I see you wearing there, Derek?
He's just glad to see him. You're on board with the GT category leader. Now here comes the race leader Capello up to make things interesting.
Yeah, and Capello has to be awfully careful because, of course, he doesn't know how intense these guys are. Look right there. That's a good example.
Yeah.
Maassen is so intent on passing Bernhard that he almost committed contact with Capello.
Capello will get by on the front stretch. Bernhard will let him go and tuck back into the 22. Maassen, though, right with him, heading toward the second corner here.
I don't think he'll try it there. Oh, man.
To the inside. Now they're going to the arch side by side.
Well, he's going to try it.
Sascha Maassen for the lead gets it back.
Excellent bit of work, Sascha.
And you see what happened to Bernhard. He had to get so far offline. Listen, you could hear the noise. His tires are actually picking up some of the marbles at the edge of the track. Had to be right off the power, and that's given Maassen a good run on the straight.
So Sascha Maassen moves to 9th overall in the GT lead for the second time today. In car number 23, the McKenna Zybernaut Alex Job Porsche.
The other thing, too, that will really help Sascha at this point is with Bernhard having gone off, his tires will have picked up enough debris, it'll take him a lap or two to clean them and get back up to a high pace. So he'll be slow, at least for the balance of this lap, compared to Maassen.
Inside 4 minutes to go. Time for about 3 more laps. Let's get it down to pit road.
Well, Alex in conversation here. Alex, big smile on your face with that move by Sascha. That was something else under the arch.
Yeah, it made me pretty nervous, but, you know, these guys are professionals and they race against each other a lot. And it was a really good move on both of their part. And it's great racing. I mean, it's great to see.
What's about the lap times? We're seeing lap times out there quicker than you qualified at.
Well, you know, these guys are in a real groove right now, and they're racing each other hard. And, you know, track temperature has gone down. It's not so bad right now. They're just pumped up. They're just doing really good.
I think it's happy hour, boys.
It will be very shortly, I think. Of course, it is a light fuel load. There's a lot of rubber down, and as Alex said, it's cooled off a little bit.
Well, they would have run a light fuel load for qualifying as well.
Yeah, absolutely. They'd have run nothing at all. We just saw this. We just missed this just now. That was the overtaking maneuver.
And look at Bernhard. Look where his tires are.
Over the yellow line. Yeah. Very close to where Johnny O'Connell put the Corvette over a while ago. Less than 3 minutes to go.
That's a great battle. That's just spectacular.
But obviously they knew that Mr. Alex Joe wasn't going to be too happy if they touched to grief there, so they had to be very sensible about it.
You've got about $600,000 worth of race cars there.
And he had seen Sascha zooming up behind him, and he knew that the writing was on the wall, really.
Yeah, there's certainly that respect would be given by both drivers.
So Maassen is your GT leader now. Now that's one of the Porsche house cars, the black number 18. Oh no! Ben Devlin has had a problem. It looks as though the day is done for the 13. The Millington-powered car, he has to bail out of the 675s. And as we said at the top of the broadcast, the winner could well be the last man standing. It does not look as though it'll be Devlin and Camirand in the Archangel car here today. Like the motor just gave up.
I don't know. I mean, it almost looks like it's a CV joint fire. That was
it's
somewhere
right
down so very low.
Well, this should hand the 675 category back to Jeff Bucknam's team in the 56.
That was strange that where that fire
yeah,
was.
Yeah, but he can't get the car to move unless he gets it. Oh, he's got it to move. He's got it into neutral, has he? Might not want to.
Caution at least at that station, in that runoff area.
Yeah.
It's Kevin Buckler's Racers Group GT car. Here's the Olive Garden Coca-Cola GTS Ferrari 0.
Yeah, another really
overall.
Excellent day for them.
And in the 675s, there's the Bucknam car. Back out in front, Jeff is wheeling that car. Ronnie's son, a couple of minutes to go. Not time for another lap. 14th overall. And it had a good steady run for them today. Espetti in the 0. Now, they were up to 7th. They shuttled back to 8th because David Brabham has gotten the Panoz into 6th position. Here is your leader, Capello. Let's see the white flag this time by. Swings by pit road. It's been a very, very strong run for the two teams. Tom Kristensen and now Capello.
Well, the champion car is obviously in danger of being overtaken as well right here for another lap.
Yeah,
another lap down.
I would imagine that Capello just got to hold station right now because he's got absolutely nothing to gain and a whole lot to lose if he happened to make a mistake while he was lapping.
Down through the arch for the final time. There's Johansson in the 38. Here comes Capello. Pila, his teammate, second spot. Johansson is third, a lap or two behind. Herta is fourth, another 2 laps back. And then Andy Pilgrim in the first of the Corvettes, the GTS leader, the 4 car, he's fifth.
You see, Capello has completely relaxed his pace, and he now is running 5 seconds a lap slower than what he'd been running there just 5 minutes ago. So he is enjoying the fruits of almost victory at this point, Derek.
And suddenly it feels a little cooler in the car.
Yeah.
Yes, it
And
does.
he's starting to think about the fact that they're going to be cheering their way through victory. They have no time at all.
It's a great feeling right now. Winningest driver right there.
Capello and Kristensen will score the honors here at Trois Rivières. First time for the American Le Mans Series in Quebec. And a big victory for Team Yost and Capello and Kristensen. Their second win of the year. Checkered flag waves over the 2 car. Biela will come home in second spot. He and Pirro on the pole. Ran flawlessly for the first 2 hours. Coughed up the lead at a pit stop exchange. And the 2 cars sailed home to victory. And we will talk to the winners very shortly. Up the backstretch, waving to the fans. Huge crowd here today at Trois Rivières. More of the same coming tomorrow, of course, live here on Speed. Toyota Atlantics at 1, Trans Am at 2:30. And we will have much more coverage of today's American Le Mans Series round when we continue the Grand Prix of Trois Rivières.
It was a tough race. I mean, the number 1 car was running extremely strongly. They pitted, then you got the yellow and you put fresh tires on. So even when you came back out there, you seemed to have a lot more pace than Frank at the end of the race.
Yeah, I think we were very, very quick also on all tire, but sometimes due to bad traffic, we were losing, sometimes we were gay, but the gap was still 9-10 seconds. And fortunately, we get yellow, and we learned from Washington that probably was better to put a fresh tire. We did it, and that was the key of the race.
How about the inter-squad rivalry between the two of you? It's been back and forth. Now, today is your day. I mean, we've heard from your other teammates that there's no team orders, but how important to beat your teammates?
Well, it's important for the team to get a 1-2, okay? And it's very important that we don't hit each other. Otherwise, I lose my job. So if you make a pass, they just tell you make a clean pass. And we run hard, and Ronnie's awesome. We had a good time at the beginning. It's a shame we couldn't run that close at the end. But it's as long as it's a Team 1-2, Corvette Racing, guys are happy.
Sascha, I think the GT battle was the best one out there. That move you made on Timo going down into the arch, tell us about it.
Well, before the race, I didn't think that it was possible to overtake there, but well, Timo made a little mistake in the corner before, and there's a lot of dirt, and he came a little bit offline, so he had a bad exit. So I said, that's it, I have to try, because he had the same car and me, the same engine, so I knew I need a mistake. We didn't do a good strategy, because we were fighting for an overall win between teammates, and I drove with more risk than I drove in the qualifying. And
you may have not liked it, but I tell you, everyone here, and we did on TV.
Yeah, you know, I like to push myself to the limit, but it's against the teammates, and we risked a lot. We could have been both out, you know.
Welcome back to Trois Rivières. Your winner, Rinaldo Capello, in car number 2, and Bill Adams.
Celebration.
Think he was happy to take the checkered flag here today?
I think he's still happy doing this right now.
I'm glad he knows where he is, because I haven't got a clue.
Down in the runoff area of turn 1, right near victory lane.
Listen to the crowd. Isn't that's the most wonderful moment?
Yeah. The fans have thoroughly enjoyed the debut of the American Le Mans Series at the Grand Prix of Trois Rivières. First time for the series to come here and run. Everyone's had a wonderful time being here, and it was a great show today. Capello and Kristensen, your winners. Their teammates, Biela and Pirro in second. The ADT champion Audi third. The Panoz, Andy Pilgrim, and Kelly Collins come home fifth. As we show you the top 6. In victory lane, Calvin Fish.
Dindo, nice donuts, mate.
Yeah, but I think nice race, better than the donuts. The donuts was just the end, but I think we did. Tom and me, we started from the end of the grid. We finished first. We could not expect something better.
It was a tough race. I mean, the number 1 car was running extremely strongly. They pitted, then you got the yellow and you put fresh tires on. So even when you came back out there, you seemed to have a lot more pace than Frank at the end of the race.
Yeah, I think we were very, very quick also on all tire, but sometimes due to bad traffic, we were losing, sometimes we were gay, but the gap was still 9-10 seconds. And fortunately, we get yellow, and we learned from Washington that probably was better to put a fresh tire. We did it, and that was the key of the race.
There'll be a big street party tonight. I assume you'll be there.
Okay, see you there.
Great win for the number 2 Audi team. Jan Beekes.
With Andy Pilgrim, and Andy, it was a great day for you guys. Second victory. How about the conditions, the heat today on a track that you don't get a lot of speed?
Well, it was very hot. I mean, you know, the air stays very still on a track like this. If there's any wind, the grandstands and everything protect you from it. So it felt pretty hot, but there was some cool breeze, so it wasn't as hot as the last 3 races we've had for sure.
How about the inter-squad rivalry between the 2 of you? It's been back and forth. Now, today is your day. I mean, we've heard from your other teammates that there's no team orders, but how important to beat your teammates?
Well, it's important for the team to get a 1-2, okay? And it's very important that we don't hit each other. Otherwise, I lose my job. So if you make a pass, they just tell you make a clean pass. And we run hard, and Ronnie's awesome. We had a good time at the beginning. It's a shame we couldn't run that close at the end. But it's as long as it's a Team 1-2, Corvette Racing, guys are happy.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Very happy, Andy Pilgrim. Great to see the 4 team have some success. Second time this year they've been to victory lane. Calvin Fish with more of our winners.
Sascha, I think the GT battle was the best one out there. That move you made on Timo going down into the arch, tell us about it.
Well, before the race, I didn't think that it was possible to overtake there, but well, Timo made a little mistake in the corner before, and there's a lot of dirt, and he came a little bit offline, so he had a bad exit. So I said, that's it, I have to try it, because he had the same car and me, the same engine, so I knew I need a mistake. And he made a little mistake, and I dived into it. But I think we didn't do a good strategy, because we were fighting for an overall win between teammates, and I drove with more risk than I drove in the qualifying. And you know,
your times were faster than qualifying. I think you ran a 5.9 possibly in the race.
Yeah, you see, that's because I was flying. I was the car was really good, I must say. I had a great car, but
you may have not liked it, but I tell you, everyone here, and we did on TV.
Yeah, you know, I like to push myself to the limit, but it's against the teammates, and we risked a lot. We could have been both out, you know. If he wouldn't have let me the room, we would have been, last and second last.
All right, mate, that was an awesome performance today. Well done. Sascha, Maassen, Lucas Luhr, the winning trend continues. Let's go over to Jan Beekes.
With Jeff Bucknam now. It was back and forth, back and forth. It was, again, this 675 class. Why is it seems like no one wants to win it? When you get out front, there's trouble.
Yeah, it's true. You know, I'd like to say we just went out there and, made it easy. But, we had at the first hour or so, we had like a 4-lap lead on, everybody. Brian Woolman got in the car. He was driving great. The battery voltage just shut the car off. So he had to get a push start from the corner workers, thank God. Got back to the pits, and we changed drivers to Chris McMurray, who did a great job as well. But we got a penalty for having to get a push start. So that really hurt us, put us like 4 laps down. So these are my guys right here, man. They did a great job, and we're just happy to be on at first of the checkered flag.
Yeah. Congratulations. Thanks for making it exciting at the end. Thanks.
We got the best driver in P675 right here. We're working to give him better support, right? We'll do a better job for you next time, Bucky. But
All right. A lot of joy in Victory Lane today. Let's take a look at the final running order, the 26 teams that competed here. We showed you the top 6 a moment ago, and some good battles all throughout the 4 classes that make up the American Le Mans Series. Sets up the final 4 races of the season, Bill Adam.
And I'm particularly happy for Rinaldo Capello for getting a victory today. He has maybe broken through this string of bad luck and bad decisions he's gone through, and he is one of the nicest guys in racing, so he can celebrate and smile all night long. That's terrific.
Certainly a good outing for the Speddy Scattarella Ferrari, coming home 8th overall, 3rd in GTS, GT. Some things. There's your 675 winner, 14th overall for Jeff Bucknam's team. As we take a look at the remainder of the field. Derek, final thoughts?
Well, I just think it was a great race. It was a clean race, relatively. I'm surprised at the errors that were made by the top drivers, but it was a very interesting race, and we certainly have plenty to talk about.
I want to thank you for being here. Good luck tomorrow in your Speed World Challenge run here early Sunday morning. I want to thank Randy Popes as well, who will be in that same event, for joining us for a time here today. So very interesting Grand Prix de Trois Rivières, the first tour of the American.
Like and follow for more.